Hello everyone, Conor here. Just as a small disclaimer, some things we may talk about on the pod shouldn't be attempted or recreated. Remember to keep everything legal, keep it between the hedges, and don't tear up the ground while you're on the pull. Hello everyone, you're listening to the Limited Slip Differences podcast, your perfect blend of cars, tractors and everything in between. My name's Conor.
And I'm Michael. What's crack, folks? And it is 1:45 in the morning. We've had a fly evening. We're trying to get this here caught up ahead of releasing this on Sunday. It's now technically Saturday morning.
What episode are we on, Michael?
We are on episode 78.
And for the first time ever, I have not read off my phone.
And it shows because you forgot what to say.
Forgot my name.
We're both pretty rough here. But here, if you want the authentic look,
right enough. I am bogging.
Yeah, if you want the authentic look, this is as raw as it gets. We have been, my hands are stinking. I was actually contemplating wearing the orange gloves here, just to actually cover how bad my hands are.
It'd be what you would do anyway.
It would be. So, exciting news in this podcast, which we'll obviously get into in a bit. But
there's lots of
exciting stuff in this podcast. But we've got sponsored.
I don't know how we've wrangled it, but
I don't know how we've done it either. But so we already had J-Tech Chemicals coming on as a sponsor from last year. UTV's come on board. We had Jack Campbell on the podcast with us this week. Jack, engineer like myself. We've similar industry experience actually, and I listening back to this podcast, I did not realize or maybe it's just the way Jack explains it. But he made lights seem so interesting. This podcast genuinely is a play. Even if you're lights, how the hell's the way Jack talks about it and the way he explains everything? Maybe we're just nerds, but it's so interesting and it's such good conversation based off the back of it. Gets all the.
It's like anything. At the end of the day, They're a company that has made their own product. They've made it for a variety of use cases. We know it for certain use cases, and they obviously have a full portfolio of to suit every or most people's needs and wants. And for somebody to sit there and then essentially go through how it was basically this could be an episode of how it's made.
Yeah, pretty much. Would it be worth saying it's a product made for enthusiasts by enthusiasts?
I suppose you could say that, yes.
Yeah, it's a premium product.
It has the fine detail in it too, and fair
going
dues.
To the length of putting in the screws and stuff, because that's what the old halogen lights would have had. And
pretty much. Well, I didn't want to ruin that for the pod, but
ruined now.
It's fair dues. We're obviously excited to work with UTV lights, and I suppose they've maybe took a chance on us to see.
100% they've taken a chance on us.
There's
no two ways about that, Conor. Of course they've taken a chance on us.
I suppose we're a raw enough podcast, and we're in the growth upwards, and they've took a chance, and hopefully, obviously, it can. Benefit both parties, but no, we're delighted to have them on, and to be honest with you, Jack's an absolute gentleman.
Yeah,
and
real nice fella.
And obviously, you'll find out as we get on to later on. So what is new with me? So it is now 13th March, isn't it?
14th.
14th. Oh yes.
It's like 1 a.m.
Oh my god, it is 1 a.m. So it is 14th. This week. Gone past, basically earlier this week, we sowed fertiliser on the ground with the quad and the small fertiliser sower of Conor McLaren's.
Shout out to Conor McLaren.
Well, seemed like a good idea, and then it bucketed the following day. So
and then the rain
everybody
came down.
Well, whatever way you talk to God, please talk to Him, and hopefully it'll stay in the ground, because we seen the rain the following day.
It was.
Oh no!
It was bad.
But fingers crossed, my toes are crossed and all too, that it stayed in the ground. But we sowed urea. hopefully it.
Well, urea is supposed to go on in the wet, because I made that mistake last year. I put it on and it didn't rain for 7 weeks. And my first cut silage was, although good, a bit dark in the colour.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's not going to waste. Probably is a bit of a disaster, but sure, there's nothing really we can do about it now. But and then in other news, massive event has happened in the world. To be honest with you, the whole world economy is shook by it. Like, I don't know enough about it, nor the politics of it, so I'm not going to comment on it. I'll let the experts do that. But like the whole volatility of the economic market with the whole crisis in the Middle East there at the minute is bonkers. Like, price fertiliser up £100 a tonne. Diesel, petrol at the pumps,
and everyone's panic buying fertiliser as well. We talked about this in the last podcast, because literally we recorded that last podcast with Jack. We talked about it in that episode. The next day I was like, I need to go and get fertiliser, so I went and got fertiliser then as well, because I scared myself, like, and yeah, it's definitely a lot more expensive than what I paid this time last year.
Like,
I gave £407 a tonne last year for urea, and now this year for 27.44 I give 485. Yeah, it's a tonne. Like, it's
even like diesel at the pumps climbed 20p a litre. Red diesel's like £1 a litre or something.
Yeah,
there, over
well over a pound. It's £1.10 in some places. It's just doing the same as what happened in 2022 when everything went through the roof as well.
Hopefully, the escalation and all gets sorted out quickly. That
I can't want to move on from that depressing topic, to be honest.
No, that's fair enough. Well, hopefully, and yeah.
So remember I made a claim at the start of the year I was going to do less?
Well, you're doing less.
I have done less this week, purposefully.
But that's not this year. Have you done less?
Do you know what I'd say? If anything, I've been more efficient. I've probably done less, but I've accomplished more. Set myself like targets, but like everything's a setback. Everything's always a setback. So you've heard me talk about, well, I'll split it into two kind of big events. One of them, which should seem bigger than the other, but the first one was the slurry mixer. So as we know, I've been building 2 slurry mixers into one, and probably spent the price of a good second-hand slurry mixer in doing so. So I mixed the tanks this week. The Fate's now back. So that's good as well. So put the slurry mixer to good use, and yeah, it works. So pretty buzzing with that. There's just one wee problem, but overall, yeah. Look, the bodywork and I built basically good components into a good body.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, there's a couple of wee things, but all in all,
not bad.
Pretty happy with it. Like, so that was definitely. Look, I know building a slurry mixer is not a particularly big accomplishment, but when
you've never done it before, it is for you.
It's nice. It's satisfying to go, it works. I'm as surprised as anybody. And then the other big thing was Drift Games Bash. So went to the Spring Bash again this year. Said I wouldn't leave it, as like would try and get more sleep in the week leading up to the bash. That didn't happen. Again, as it does every time. This year was the year of the leaks. So the car was
that like leeks as in potato and leek soup?
Yep. No, so last year at the Winter Bash, the car was down in power and suffered a big water leak. And of course, in typical Michael Scullen fashion, I just rolled it into the shed and got on with everything else in life, because by that stage the cattle we were stuck with a pneumonia with the cattle, and coming up to Christmas and a few other bits and pieces came on, and other stuff was more important, and I was trying to get the slurry mixers and all sorted, but I had plenty of setbacks. I lost quite a lot of hours even over the slurry mixer, so I didn't get the Sierra started as quickly as I would have liked, but I did get it started in good enough time. And there's a really odd fitting, so shout out to Aaron Hughes. He's actually got me stuff. He was ordering parts off fmac.eu. It's $47.50 to post to here, and it's $15 to post to Monaghan. That Invisible Borders really great job, Brexit. Thank you. And so me and him ordered stuff together, and he's got the parts. So at the minute, I have like a makeshift setup, which broke my heart, to be quite honest, until I did get it working, and then after that it was fine. But took the car test run the Friday before the bash, was kind of hoping everything would be okay. Got to the place, Newbridge Stores, where I would always get my 99, and the water was pissing out of the car, and I was like, oh, are you serious? Why now? Could you not just work? And the pipe, basically I have very little room between the back of my head and the bulkhead of the engine, but I'd cut the pipe too short, and basically it's a 90-degree pipe, and it just simply kinked and wasn't sealing. So magically went on a rampage looking for parts, magically found a part in the shed I didn't even know I had. Bought it probably in 2018 and was never fit it, but because I'm a hoarder, I keep all my parts. I was glad. So used that, took a few other bits and pieces, cobbled a system together, got away with it, ran the car, everything was fine. Didn't get much sleep, but got a bit more before the bash this time around. That was alright. Went down through scrutiny, that was grand. Well, apart from, they said they could feel me because I had my toe and eye on too loose. Yeah. Anyway, done that, then went to drive up to the start line, and the next thing, pulled in by the marshals and was told, you're leaking oil. And I was like, I'm not leaking oil. I'd seen the steam rising, and I was like, see if this is the same pipe that blew off. The only way, for the record, the only way I can change that water pipe is by dropping the gearbox. Yeah. So decided then, I was like, I was gutted. I was like, this is not cool. So I'd finally, and the weather was really good at this point. So next thing, Owen, one of the marshals, came up and he was like, Michael, I've got a recovery coming for you. It's fine. And I was like, it's only coolant. It's not oil. And he was like, oh, get out of here. Just go. Away you go. So back to the pits I went, where Paul Higgins then helped me out. So Paul Higgins was actually, so we were all down with Phil Kenna. Shout out to Phil and Willow and the guys. And Paul and Sean came along with us this year as well. It was good old crack, and Magic and all was there too. It's a nice wee gang of people. Very, very hospitable. They're just great. You know Phil anyway, like you've met Phil and met Willow as well. Like, and they're just great people. Very, very hospitable, very, very welcoming. They were very, very welcome to Paul and Sean and all too. So it was really, really nice to see. So then finally got the car back together. That was grand. Got it out to the track, and oh my god, it was class. Until we were coming round and I spun. But when I spun, I heard this noise, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I'd literally split a tyre in half.
Oh, wow.
Now, I didn't know it at this stage, but that ended up being the cause of a lot more problems over the weekend. So that was grand. Said, but by the time that had happened, it was close to the end of the day. So, but to be fair, I was getting on well. I was starting to be able to link most of the backtrack by this stage, so it's always positive for me. Really, the car was going so well. See when you do the last corner of the backtrack and you're hitting third gear off the limiter, and it's just bang, 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 limiter bashing. It was class. Like, feeling was unbelievable. But there was in typical Michael Scullin fashion, the weekend did not end as nicely as I would have liked, and I was alright. Sunday went out a run again and was doing the main track and was drifting the S's. So came in at the hedges and then done the S's, and I was like, this thing, it doesn't feel like it's down in power, but it's not revving out as much as I'd like, and it's kind of like trying to straighten me. It's like, feels like the diff's almost starting at one wheel. So that was okay. Went to the backtrack, done a loop at the backtrack, going well. Done a second look at the backtrack, going well. Done a third loop at the backtrack, and the next thing, me and Adam were driving along, and I was like, on decel, my diff started getting really, really noisy. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good. And Adam was like, yeah, maybe we'll not do anymore. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, perhaps not. So went into the pits, and then I was like, do you know what? I'm here. If there's damage done to the diff, you're going to be fixing the diff regardless. So I'll see how much more I'll get out of it. So I decided then I would get back in the car, and the diff lasted approximately one more clutch kick. Came into the hedge. So took off, drove off, like spun the wheels coming off the line, you know, first, second, third gear, just spinning the wheels. So I was like, oh, great job. And then I just drove around. I was like, I'll warm up the oil in the diff a wee bit. And so came around mobile 1, round turn 2, and then I didn't hear him, but Adam actually turned to me and said, I think your diff is now starting to sound noisy in acceleration, because it used to be noisy in decel only. And as soon he had no more said that, I had already filled the hydro and clutch kicked it, and just bang. And then that was Babs Tracy then had to come and recover me, and I haven't heard the end of it since. That, which we'll talk about Babs and all in a bit. Yeah, so that was my weekend, pretty much over, had to be recovered. So twice I was recovered that weekend. On the Saturday, after my wheel splitting, or my tyre split in half, I actually thought it was a diff problem and just asked to be recovered just to save the diff. And ironically then it was a diff that went bang on the Sunday. So
there you go.
Yeah. We forgot about one other thing. We became commentators.
That's right, yes. So...
And I'm conscious we are eating into all our time here, so...
Yes, so I'll try and go through this quite quickly, efficiently, and not tangent. So, Michael talking to Ciara Hines, and Michael put both names forward for possibly commentating.
This was last year, by the way, so I spoke to Ciara and said we'd like to get involved with the ADS.
The Winter Irish Drift Series. So, essentially, the lower power cars... they would normally do like Mondello at Drift Games Sportsland, as well as like Kerry's 360 Motor Sport Park, isn't it?
Then also Bishopscourt. So it's basically low budget, low power, bit of fun, bit of crack, mainly focused on battle experience. And the whole idea is a lot of the drivers that maybe compete in that are drivers that typically might qualify but never really make it to the battle stage. So it was to give people who never really had much experience with battle experience. Some, to be fair, some incredible drivers throughout the entirety of the day. So,
Michael put both names forward, and then thankfully I was trying to get away from home, and we made our way down to Bishopscourt. Once we get down there, we get sort of told the ropes, and get given a few bits of advice here and there, what sort of to say and what not to say, which was, just. This is where the lead driver essentially is on the page, and this is the chase driver, and obviously they're going to switch around on their second go. So, to start off with, it's one thing being into something; it's another thing being
able
passionate
to comment
about it
on it live. Yeah,
there's another thing being able to talk about it.
Yep.
There's yet another thing being able to be passionate about it, talk about it live,
while talking technical at the same time.
About people you have no idea who they are, or their skill level, or what power plant they're running in the car. So essentially we were just going off their names and that, and you could nearly tell a wee bit by Michael could definitely tell by some of the tones of the engine and all that there, what sort of engine they were maybe running. But to begin with, ironically, I wouldn't shut up.
Yeah. That's actually true.
Michael turned around to me before we started talking, and normatively said, Conor, now I'm telling you, if I don't shut up, you give me a dig in the ribs.
Yep, I did.
He didn't give me a dig in the ribs, but he went, could you shut up?
Yep, genuinely, I got to the stage and I was, Conor, you're not giving me a chance to speak here, which is ironic. But to be fair, you were enjoying yourself. Look, you can hear us over, I've seen a few videos come up, and you can hear us. Now, what I will say is, the Winter Series is very much a budget event. If it was the IDS itself, or the likes of Drift Masters, you have multiple camera angles, multiple of everything, so you can see everything a lot more clearly, and you would probably have more of a rapport with the drivers. But what I would say with me and you was, as the day went on, we definitely started to find that rapport with the drivers, and like, you know, there's certain drivers where you would go, there's young Jack Irwin, has a very aggressive driving style, Conor Liddy, you know, and I actually know why Conor was very fast but wasn't able to get big angle.
They're two drivers you know of,
yes,
or have seen before, whereas when you go to the likes
but
of,
even the likes of Vacaris Naviscus, who I didn't really know at all, you started looking at how flary he drove the car. That's just what you started commenting on.
Yeah. Like, did we make mistakes? Yes.
We made loads.
But I would say by the end of the day that, like, there was times where we were not talking over each other, but like, it's funny, you were taking a section of the track, or we were taking, you know, which driver.
It's just a learning experience, like.
Very cool experience.
10 out of 10 would do it again.
Being up in the tower, even at Bishopscourt, was a cool experience, because like, you were essentially, you had the best seat in the house. You really did have the best seat
we
in the
did,
house.
and it's nice to be along with the likes of Tom Murphy and Kieran Hines, you know, real drifting pedigree.
Oh,
you know, like,
and even the fact of, like, I'm not a wild introvert, but a wee bit of an introvert, and like, to be up there and like, I don't know if I'd be more passionate than Michael about drifting, but like,
I would say we're on the same level.
Like, all I can think of whenever we were thinking about commentating was Ian Waddington and Dave Egan.
Yeah,
and like
even Eddie Purr and Mikey Fitz.
Of course. Now, like,
but obviously you're gonna compare. That's like,
you compare yourself to the best of the best.
Yeah,
and like, all I could think of was, you know, what sort of way would they do it? Obviously, you want to be original, but at the same time, people think they're good for a reason, so you want to sort of take some cues from them. But here, all in all, cool experience. We will only probably know if we've done a good job if we're ever asked back again. If we're never asked back again, then we're shite.
We'd like to, probably going forward as well, speaking about this, we'll definitely be including more of the ADS in the pod. So after events, maybe do like a roundup section and stuff like that there. I would like us to get involved that way, because, you know, one of the things we said when we first started off was, imagine if we get involved with the Irish drifting, and now we are like 3 and a bit years later, and now we're commentating, do you know, and people recognise the voices over the intercom. Now, not that there was that many people, it's the Winter Series, which equally for us is good, because it's a good way for us to learn, and not well, if we mess up, we mess up, like. But
I suppose if there's any bloopers of the day, it was at one point I was chatting to Michael, and I had the microphone down away from my mouth, so
I did not.
So Michael just sounded like he was
talking to himself,
having a conversation to himself.
Yeah,
you know,
that was a.
But no, fantastic experience.
But anyway, we've, to be honest, we nearly could have done a full episode and what's new, but we do have to get on. So as you already heard at the start, we've already mentioned Jack Campbell. Normally we would bring this on. Now before, but obviously given the facts of sponsorship, we have to bring it on the start in this case. So yeah, great conversation. Hope you really enjoy this. I didn't think lights and tractors could be as interesting, but
Jack is just wholeheartedly a really interesting character, and it's a really good talker. Every ounce of passion and all that he does for his job, and the love he has for machinery and all that there, you can definitely hear it through the conversation.
So yeah, without further ado, here is Jack from UTV Lights. Thanks very much again, guys. Appreciate it. Well, we have Jack Campbell here with us today. Jack's from UTV Lights, and UTV Lights are now coming on board with us as an official sponsor. So Jack, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much indeed.
No problem at all.
Yourself has reached out to us, and to be fair, UTV Lights, as if you go back through the videos, you might have known I turboed my Fate. I haven't really spoke about it that much, but
is she turboed, lad?
Did you know? I kept it secret. Like, nobody knows. There's a YouTube video on it. I don't know if you know, but I don't know YouTube video.
How many parts is in that YouTube video?
3, maybe 4. I was supposed to do 4 parts, and then the gearbox broke on my tractor. And I would like to do part 4, actually, in fairness. I would like to do a part 4, and it was supposed to be a 1 year on, but the 1 year on was me putting my tractor in a loader to take her up to get her sorted, because, fifth gear decided to delete itself out at the slurry. But we're late to the end of the tunnel. We're
literally
nearly
with
there.
UTV.
I like what you did there.
I like that. But even back then, and this was, so it was that Taylor and Dylan, T. Jackson's sons. I actually have a calendar sitting behind me there. Had sorted me out with the first set of UTV lights, and I put them on the tractor. And
the difference was savage.
Night and day, or should I say light and day?
Hey.
That's probably all the puns we're gonna have. I have no more to give. And like, to be fair, like, again, this is gonna sound so like corporate jargon, but just hear me out. I kinda, when someone comes on as like a sponsor and it's parts that you believe in, I know, sounds cringe, but genuinely, like, we seen it firsthand at the set. Conor silage. It used to be when you met the boys in the Deers, for whatever reason, like, Rory's lads all seem to love just having every single light on.
And you're coming along with your candles, trying to
you're
compete with them. Like.
You're coming along literally with your 2 birthday candles, which are
and then they blew them out.
That's it.
that is literally what it is. And then it's just like, right, well, I could drive up onto the ditch here, but I have no idea what I'm going to hit. Because is it going to be a load of nettles, which is actually a
You're
shock?
almost trying to use their lights to see what you need to see.
So it just was like, I'm just going to stop and pull under the nearest drive and flatten some lady's turnips here, tulips.
Like, to be fair, sure, you had the 2 spots at either side of the headlights.
Aye, but you can only run them and
you
full
know,
beam.
and you used them so you could see. And then you got the UTVs on,
and then they nearly become.
They are a great job for them. 2 extra spots are great for the full beam, but
yeah.
Like, as I said, whenever you come along the road there and you're getting blinded, if you have no lights, your lights get completely counteracted by them. It's like driving a Bora or something like that there with the like poor reflectors. If you meet good lights, your lights just do not compete.
Yeah.
But like, to be fair, I would say one of the most important things that they do is they modernise an old tractor.
Yeah.
Or like,
and whilst they're not OEM, that particular headlight itself, it has a modern appearance, but it doesn't look out of place.
Well, like, I was kind of planning, actually going this way, I was kind of planning on bringing the conversation round as we talk a bit about yourself, because you're from a farming background as well. But probably, to be fair, when we have got the way the conversation's running us, we'll jump in on about the lights. Yeah. So, as I say, the kit that I have, so what's quite interesting about the kit that I have is it's kind of like a retro looking light, but you have different adapters, so it's modularity.
Yeah.
So it's designed that, I think I can't remember the exact part code. Is it like
so the UTV 361 is the main headlight unit itself.
Yes.
And then it has the threaded bosses on the back of it.
Yes, which
allows that same headlight then to fit into your New Holland TM. And obviously your Fiat 90
I fitted
series.
it upside down the first time, but anyway, yep.
6200 series, Massey's 40 series, New Holland, John Deere 20 and 30
so
series.
So that is all that same light?
It's all the same light,
just a different adapter?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, it's modernising an old tractor.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, old tractors, not like new ones where you maybe 8 to 10 spots at the top of the cab and all that. Even whether they're halogen. If you look at like
the likes of an R series John Deere,
they probably would have.
Yeah. So
6 along the top of the roof, like
you talk about the R series is like that. A new T6 or T7, you can spec them obviously.
Yeah.
Like, there's some amount of light compared to your 40 series New Holland, your Fiat. You've 2 spots.
Well,
at the top,
likes of the Fiat's a prime example. You've got 2 spots in the front and 2 on the back, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong,
and
they got people
never work.
Oh well, like they got people by obviously back in the day.
Yeah.
But as Michael always says, whenever he's going to do a day's work or an evening's work, coming
Never
into the
work in my life,
coming into the autumn months,
Yeah.
If he is near a modern tractor, he's just, he's getting like blinded all the time.
Back then, everybody had bad lights.
Yes.
Back then, everybody also had less horsepower, less speed, less whatever.
Somebody wasn't coming at you at 50 plus K and you're
taking up most of the road.
But like, years have come along with a solution that, like, essentially, yes, it's LED lights. Don't get me wrong. You could go and you could buy whatever LED light and stick it onto a tractor.
Mm-hmm.
But yours looks like the light that was on the tractor.
Yes.
So, like, yes, you've the wee modern twist there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, you look at it and it's adding that slight, as I would have thought, cool factor as well to it,
definitely with the cool factors there.
And then one of the key points for us, whilst it looks good, we also have made sure that it's road legal as well.
Yes.
So that, that's what a lot of people, we put obviously ads on Facebook and that, and you'd have people come along who don't really understand what we're doing, and they're used to meeting the likes of your tractor coming along with all the work lights on because their headlights are poor, and headlights, I suppose, is number one thing to upgrade. And they say, oh, well, sure, how can that be road legal? Because whenever I meet them on the road, they just blind me.
Mm-hmm.
but they're not sort of speaking about a proper dip beam headlight where whenever you don't use your work lights, you're still getting really good light on dip beam, enough to see more than enough off the road. And then obviously when you put on the full beam, then it gives you a lot more light.
It honestly, like, I couldn't get over the comparison of, like, even, you know, you can get, and there is alternatives out there, you know, like, let's be honest, your UTV light is not an entry level price.
No,
they are
certainly not.
are a premium,
and that's not the market we're aiming for either.
No, they are a premium product, and they are I'm not going to say expensive, because I think you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But you definitely do pay for what, you know.
What pay for, yeah.
But I suppose at the end of the day, like, yes, they're premium, but you have the R&D done, you have the designing done.
That's it.
You know, you're making a bespoke product at the same time. So, like, if you look, if anybody's on YouTube, Jack, you brought along a couple, like...
so, like, for example, this probably from the camera, if you're looking that far away, probably looks like a halogen light.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we really wanted to achieve with this light was, so if I'm restoring my tractor, I want it to look obviously fresh paintwork wise, mechanically wise, and I want to put LED lights on it, but I don't want it to look...
You don't want it to
look like somebody to walk past that tractor and say, oh, that tractor's got LED lights on it. So
at risk of maybe offending, you don't want it to look like it's cheapening.
That's it.
You know,
you've gone to all this length of a really good restoration, and then you want to put a light that looks OEM, and sort of we have gone from sort of taking the halogen one of that and then manufactured the LED version to sort of match that, and it sort of then brings us back to, you know, you said about R&D. So we'll take the original halogen light, and then we'll draw it up on CAD. And it's not until you actually, like, we've invested in quite a bit of 3D printing technology now. And when we, like, 3D print that light into sort of, you can have it in your hand, you can go and you can screw it onto a tractor and think, that does look fairly close to what we're after. And then it allows you kind of to get the back heat sink. Because
that's so cool, the way you've got all that, like the way that just looks like something that you would have pulled off a 1990s tractor. Like,
that's it, you know. And then, like, LEDs, for example, you have to have the heat sink, and this is what people don't understand. So whenever you go to a high, like, that's a 45 watt light.
That's rating.
So powerful, it is quite high output, and the LED chips themselves are high powered. So to get that level of high output LED, you need to have the cooling capacity on the back of it as well.
The fins. It's like a quad engine or an old Sami. They have the cooling fins.
That's it.
They're air cooled.
And then the lights that you get with the sort of the really thin back, or essentially no back on them, that nearly can indicate the power of the LED chip that's been used.
Yeah.
Because if they don't need the cooling capacity on the back, then the power can't be very high.
So you could see one that's quoted for 30 watts, but you're like, it's probably only 12.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, like, even our old tractor, it was a 4355, and essentially she had, as you're saying, we had put square LED lights on her.
Yes.
But, like, the thing I found with your product, Jack, was you can actually buy ones that look like the 4355 rear lights. It. And they're still LEDs.
Yeah.
You know.
And one of the key things about the 4300 series, Massey, and sort of...
I'm just going to go to sleep here. But
that's where kind of the development and having the background of sort of experience of the tractors themselves. Like the 4300 and the 4200 series Masseys, they didn't actually have a swivel bracket on the headlights, or sorry, on the work lights on the roof.
Right.
So if you fitted just a generic LED, you had it where it pointed, and that was it.
Yes.
Because the original swivel was actually on the halogen light. So to be able to mount onto that bracket and then tilt left and right, the swivel has to be on the light itself. And then we went a step further and got the correct connector. So if say you still had your 4355 and you rang up and said, look, I've got this tractor, need the lights for it, then we can supply you with the light, with the swivel built in, and then the correct adapter connectors that you just literally unplug the original halogens and swap them over.
Even I could wire them in, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. I'm not saying
maybe don't push your luck too much. So we've kind of jumped into the lights thing.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of find out a bit about, like, your involvement here, because the whole podcast is going to be about lights, like, so.
Yeah.
But your actual involvement is, so you yourself then.
Yeah.
You're a designer.
Yeah.
Yes, but prior to that, grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
So what is your background then? Like, from, you know, did you always want to be like? I'm not going to turn around and say, did you always want to design lights? But how does someone go from growing up on a farm till being the designer for lights?
Well, I suppose, like, I've always had a keen interest in machinery.
Yep.
And Dad would tell you a story that, like, whenever I was buggy size, we were at Balmoral show, and Dad says, we're pushing along beside some machinery, and I says, stop, hand up, had to get out, and ran across, and I was looking underneath the bed of a mower, like, and at like probably five
from a young age,
five or 6 years of age, So I suppose I always had an interest in sort of technical and the sort of how things work. And I suppose I have quite a keen eye for detail.
Okay.
It's not just there's a light. I could sort of look at a machine and think, that light is this shape and it's that size. And I suppose that's like, I remember going on a young farmers exchange trip, and they started to make fun of me because I was nearly able to tell you what size the tires were on a machine before even walking over.
He'd be a bit like that. You be like that. I'm like that in weird ways too. I can remember numbers. He can remember details.
But we were walking around the Highland show, and the fellas were like to me, "Oh, that tractor over there, like, what's the tire size in that?" And I'd have been saying, like, oh, it's a 650, 65, 38. And then it all went over and had a wee look to see what tire was on it. And like, hey, we got it right.
You should have played a drinking game with it. That's like, if he gets it wrong, you take a drink. And if you get it right, then you'll have to take a drink.
Yeah. And I suppose it's a bit of a weird thing in a way, but I suppose I could just sort of see detail that others maybe, not that they didn't see, they just weren't interested in.
Yeah.
They were interested in the colour of the tractor and what the model number on the bonnet was, whereas I was interested in what the finer details on it, and even down to like the width of the rims. Like, if I see quite a lot of people posting on Facebook, like, oh, what tires fits my tractor, and it's kind of like there's a lot more to it than just fitting a certain tire size. You've got your ratios for your 4-wheel drive,
absolutely,
and then you've also got your tire size matching with the rim width, so you can put like a 650 on an 18-inch wide rim or a 650 on a 20-inch wide rim, whereas again people don't. It's just that sort of, I'm a bit,
and then on top of that, then the profile, like, so you could fit a different profile. And again, I was like, why is my tires scratching like my mud guards? And it's like, gee, I don't know,
because it was a 75 series, whereas you had a 65 on it before. And I suppose that's like where my sort of background in the want to be technical was. And then I've always had an interest in engineering itself. Like, when I was in school, I was making gates for the farm and making sort of silage pushers and welding brackets on the loader attachments.
Do you still make silage pushers?
I haven't actually made a silage pusher for quite a while now.
I have one that didn't last too long.
Oh, is that right? I learnt the hard way not to use the 4-stud quad axle. That doesn't really last. The cast hub does not strong.
Can't really take the abuse.
We put one together, and it was the tire, but there was like 2 bits of flat plate.
Yes.
And then 4 screws down through it. And I said to the brother at the time, that's not going to work. And he was like, no, trust me, it will. So I was essentially put one pallet fork into the thing, and then she should technically spin around. And I had said to him, no, you need a hub.
It needs
with a tire and all that crap.
100% has to be a hub.
And as soon as he touched silage, then obviously the rubber and the bolt gave way. And
it actually tore the plate out of it.
I snapped the welds in mine.
Oh, did you?
Aye. So I was thinking of maybe either repurposing it for something else, or
one of the key things that I found was you have to have a slight angle on the tire.
Yes,
if your tire flat on the ground, it almost wants to rub both sides off the ground. Whereas if you have it at a slight tilt, it means then you're sort of creating your rotation by just having one side rubbing.
Aye, but then the problem is if it's got the slight tilt,
then you get silage in under it and wedges, and then you create a scraper.
And then the next thing is boom, is bouncing over you, and then you're just like, that's not.
There's very much a fine line between enough and too much.
Right? I used to have a silage pusher back in the day, but it was an actual proper. It nearly looked like a paddle. It was a proper metal.
I think way back in the day, was it ANC or somebody? They actually made.
I think ours
like
was
a silage pushover or something.
I think ours was it was either a Johnson or a Twos. I actually think it was a Twos, and like the way I can describe it is it nearly had. It was like a big, like it was like a wheel, but the solid metal, like a big metal.
Like a drum almost. Was
big
it?
Drum, like
okay.
And then it had like sort of angle iron welded onto it.
Okay.
And then basically you got up, you could get out, and you basically pulled the lever and flipped it from one side to the other. So it either went this way or went that way. And like that thing was ignorant. It was just like a big metal wheel turning, and it just pushed like
As
that.
you push gates and everything with it then?
Oh, I like push cattle out the road like
Allegedly, because that's animal cruelty.
It was, but it was a deadly job. But
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it since.
Yeah.
But it was a.
Nearly like snowplow looking yokes are nearly seemingly what silage pushers are being made to look
They
like.
are,
now.
yeah. They're sort of going with a big V now as much as with a bit of timber along the bottom.
I do think that would be a better job, though. To be fair, like
It all, I suppose, depends on your feed passages too.
True.
Well, one of the things I find with our feed passages is they've got to climb into them. So you nearly need a wee bit of float.
Yes.
yeah.
So that if your loader or your tractor's kind of on the climb up, and then you're setting your wedge down on the ground, and then the next thing the tractor's leveling off, you're either pushing it down into the ground or it's starting to rise up, and then, as you say, you get up with silage.
So you are
800.
so you are from a farm then as well.
Yeah,
Then? So
yeah.
what's the farm background and stuff like?
So we used to milk. So, well, Dad, he worked full time off the farm and milked as well.
That's any like it wasn't Lily robots back then.
No,
like,
it certainly wasn't. No, and
That's torture.
yeah,
It is. It is.
and we weren't in a big way going. Don't get me wrong. Like at that stage, we were milking probably about 30 cows, which I suppose for 2000, like things have come
that's
on.
enough like that.
They've come on leaps and bounds this last sort of 10 years in particular. But at that stage, we were milking around about 30 cows in a four-a-side swing over parlour
Oh, you'd have been at it a while, but
with the pull levers for your meal. And yeah, and like at that stage, when we sold the milk cows, I was 7.
Yeah.
And like I was a small 7-year-old, like I don't have much height on my side, and I had to stand on a bucket to reach the meal lever, and I could pull the lever, and the lever didn't move, but I went up and the lever stayed. So I was sort of left that I could teat
Ours back in the day were like that too. like.
I was teat dip, and that was about all I could do really.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever things took a turn for the worst in 2000 and drop calves were worth very little, Dad, he made the decision with the backing of Granda that, you know what, we'll pull the pin on the milk cows, and then had a few years probably where we had lesser stock, and then we got into sucklers just, and we went for a few years with continental breeds, and this last wee while of kind of sort of Angus cross Hereford,
right.
sort of more native breeds.
So everything you buy is beef breed. You don't like you do you well, you're suckler. So you only
so
have
we
your
don't
own.
even buy in really any. With the odd replacement heifer sometimes,
Yes.
but we have our own Hereford bull there, and
Okay,
then
so you run. But then
so we're like sort of black white heads with the Hereford bull cross, and then we're sort of our own reared calves then.
But then after so you have a Hereford bull at the minute, then will you switch to an Angus bull? Because you'll obviously be getting like Hereford cross Angus cross calves.
So suppose kind of go back a step. The way we ended up with the suck cows that we have now, was it Linton Foods maybe still do, or way back a few years ago they were doing like a
scheme or something?
Yeah, where you we bought them in from a farmer who had reared them from essentially powdered milk stage up to the raw milk. And the idea was that you fattened them up and you fed them, and then you sold them back to them, and obviously you made your money off what
I think they do. I think they do still do a scheme.
You're essentially
like that.
contract rearing them.
Yeah, that's what it
yeah.
is. It's contract rearing. But do they pay for the feed and all as well?
At that stage, they didn't. We had to feed them ourselves.
Right.
But
Okay.
we just were quite disappointed with how they looked. We sort of like the Holstein came out in them,
Yeah.
and then they kind of got real skinny back ends.
Yeah.
And we sort of thought, you know what, these aren't gonna do that. Well, we try and run quite a low input system where we're not pumping cattle full of meal. Like we're trying to make as good a quality silage as we can, and then supplementing with meal really, rather than
low input, mid output kind of.
yeah,
sort of
and
farm.
then sort of you're with lesser input, you're probably making, well, in our mind, we're sort of making as much as what, because you take your meal bill out of it. If you're pumping a lot of meal in,
you'll get more for an animal,
You
but
do
you
have to
will-
take that, yeah,
Absolutely.
But you're also paying more. So those cattle didn't do as well as we hoped they would, and then when they kind of were getting to the stage where they're ready for a bull, if you were going to do that, we thought, you know what, we'll try AI in a few of these, and we AI'd them to Hereford then at that stage, and they ended up with real big bags of milk.
Right, okay.
So obviously that was the Holstein
Yes.
sort of coming through in them.
Yes.
And we have had a couple of sort of crops of calves off them, and then we kept on some of their offspring, and then changed the bull obviously for that reason as
Yes,
well.
of
So
course.
we'd AI'd at the start, then we bought a bull, and then we sort of kept, and now we're sort of a few generations down on that same animal essentially, and we've lovely sentiment cows, easy managed, easy calved. You have to push them out of your way. They're that sort of temperament.
They're docile. Like,
Yeah.
see,
Where-
I suppose you being at home full time when it comes to calving helps a lot. Like,
yeah, well, I suppose, to be honest, Dad, he does manage the majority of the farming himself.
Right, okay.
I'm there if he needs me, but until such times that, like, our farm's not big enough, we'd end up following each other around.
okay, yeah,
You
no,
know,
I
so,
understand like that. But
if he needs me, I'm there to help him, but especially when the cows are easy calved, like, you can put them out into the calving pen and keep an eye on them on the camera, and 9 times out of 10 they'll calve themselves.
see, that's my biggest fear for, like, because at the minute, my general plan is calf
Yeah.
kill,
Yes.
because my business plan for the farm, if you can call it that, i.e. just the wee idea I've made up in my head is that even if I'm brought down with TB,
Aye.
I can still, my business model doesn't change.
Okay, yeah.
Because I can still,
Because you're always sending them to the factory anyway.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I can buy in, and then I can get rid of them. I can get rid of them in the factory. So
Yeah.
it doesn't. If I start making the relationships and all that kind of stuff, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't affect me no matter what way. And the thing is, like, because of the way I'm set up, I can't really afford to be overstocked.
Yes.
Because I travel, I work away a lot.
Yeah.
And yes, I have extra silage and all there, but I just don't want to have that risk. But I suppose that's the easiest strategy for me is I can buy in animals, feed them, meal them, run them to grass, and then blow them out to the market.
And then, because it's just essentially a check them over and give
Yeah.
them a bit of meal scenario, you know, if you've got a good neighbour or somebody close to hand,
Yeah.
they can help you out with that without too much difficulty.
Whereas if I was cabin, because I travel a lot for my
Yeah.
work, and I'm a big advocate. As much as I'd love to be at home full time,
Yeah.
like even if I was filling this farm, unless like I'd have to be going either to 300 head of beef cattle, or
Yeah.
I'd have to be going dairy to
to
justify
make it
in my
worthwhile
mind
being
to be
home.
at home.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in having a full-time job, and
Yeah.
if that means any money for the farm or from the farm is for the farm.
Yes.
You're not using the farm to pay your mortgage. You're not using the farm to pay for your phone or your...
And if you play it right, your farm can supplement your own life. Sort of like, you can use sort of if you wanted to take a wee bit of income out of the farm, you can use that.
in the form of maybe like diesel or something like
That's
that
it.
there.
Yeah.
Or buying many slurry mixers.
2.5, is it?
It's down to 1.5 now. I think it was 1.5 to begin with. Well, no, 2.5. You're right. The wee slurry stir.
I'll never forget me going to you now and saying, whenever he was obviously building the slurry mixers into the better one, you know,
Yeah.
I was like, lad, think about it. If you had spent X amount of pounds, you would have a new one. You'd never need to look at it.
Yeah.
All be good. Because silage harvester.
Aye.
But that's going to be a good crack, though.
Oh, no,
But
but
think of the crack that's going to be.
That is. It's going to be me gowling down the phone or gowling down the two-way, Conor. Like,
And then I was just like,
Out of curiosity, like, when you're doing all this, do you count your time into it at all?
absolutely not.
No.
Of course
if
not.
a farmer counted his time into it, like, none of
I'd
us would
be-
make a pound.
And it's all well and good, like, to say, oh, sure, just go and buy new, right? But I'm a big believer in having plenty of equipment to hand.
Yeah.
Because I like making life easy for myself, which is ironic for a man that loves making life difficult for himself. And yeah, it's a bit of a paradox. But basically, like, I would be like the type of person that would go, if I seen something like, you know, I got my bale spike and my bale handler for real good money. But that was a very generous podcast listener, in fairness.
Fair enough.
Good man, Jack. And like stuff like, I would rather have lots of implements sitting about and lots
Yes.
of things sitting about rather than spending like
All of your money on one
yeah,
thing.
blowing the budget on
Yeah.
a slurry mixer and then going, right, well, I have no money for anything else now.
I can mix my slurry, but I can do nothing with
Yeah,
it.
and it's like, you know, it's like, oh, buy new. It's like, okay, a new slurry mixer is nearly $4,000, and these two mixers together is standing me probably £1,800.
Aye.
And I have all like spare parts I have spares. Not that you'd probably need them if you bought brand new, and then there's just a bit of me that just likes knowing how to fix things.
But that's it. I suppose if you weren't fixing at that, you'd be working at something else.
Yeah.
So you might as well have something that you see the satisfaction of bringing it from not working to working.
Well, see, as long as I put it in the tank and it doesn't explode, then we're all right. Like,
And you haven't got that far yet, though, have you?
no, sure. Need my tractor back first.
Well, the very first time actually you put the first slurry mixer into the tank. And you put her full bore open, and we couldn't understand why she wasn't actually
And
mixing
she
the slurry.
was full bore. She wasn't even
Well, I was like,
2,000.
what is
She
the
was
crap with this here?
2,700.
And then we realised that the actual lever for the top was open, but thankfully the plate across it was doing its job
Oh,
well.
so she was trying to pump to a top fill, but there was no top fill there.
Well,
she was a
by-
blanking plate, like.
My
And we were
goodness,
we were like, why is this mixer not blowing? And like, I was like, because we started off slow and there was a wee spurt came out of her at the start, and that just must have been what was ever maybe just.
I left in the pipe of her or whatever.
And then I was like, we started her off slow and there was nothing, and then I was like, hey, maybe her mixer's just not great. Maybe we need to give her a bit of more power. And me and Conor stand there in the tractors at 2,700. I don't even mix it that now because it's hard on her. 2,700 RPM, full open, and me and Conor stand there going,
something not right here.
why is there no slurry coming out here? And then it was just like, hang on, what's this valve for here? And I just turned this thing, and the next thing it just went boom. And it was like, Conor, I think we found the problem.
And all I could think of was, if that top door hadn't have been closed,
Oh, it would have been everywhere.
it would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
At least we'd have known what the problem was.
It's funny, we have a Red Rock Superflow, and she does have the hatch for the top fill, and that's just one of my fears all the time. Like, if you have the back window open in the tractor and then you open her up, just the next thing, the hatch maybe open a wee bit or something, and
like our smaller mixer at home, funny, we were like mixing a tank there at the weekend, and it isn't fully closing itself, so
Okay,
there's a bit
yeah.
of baler time, obviously.
to hold it
properly
closed. Yeah.
And it was like she was pissing from here to 50 foot away.
I went and bought, the NCs, they sit in dead straight anyway. Well, they all should be sitting in dead straight, but the NC sits further back compared to like, say, your Red Rock.
Okay.
But I went, slurry mixing has got serious deer. I went and bought a 90-degree bend,
Yes.
and it's burr fittings.
90-degree bend for the top of her.
I took the...
That's not a bad idea, actually. That's actually not a bad. So that you could clip, in theory, like an umbilical pipe on there to put.
Yeah, but
that's not a bad
I bought
idea.
10 meters of umbilical hose as well.
My God, you
It's
do come
great
up with
though,
actually
but
something.
until you go then to roll it up, because the
it's
pipe,
banging.
you have to kind of nearly yard scrape the pipe and like push the slurry to the end of the pipe so you can then roll it up.
My idea
You do.
behind that was because the shed that you were showing you earlier,
Yeah.
Dad had this great idea whenever he was living that was the heifer shed, or that was like the original, like the first calf, like training up calves to lie up in the slats.
Oh, yeah.
Cubicles, sorry. Training them to lie up in the cubicles. So he casted concrete over the over the slats. I'm getting slats and cubicles mixed up here tonight. He casted the cubicles over the slats.
Right.
So there's no like secondary mixing points at the other end of the shed. So my idea was basically mix where I am and then use the slurry hose basically and run it over.
And kind of pump it back on itself and try and get a bit of a cycle
so
moving.
you're basically going like on an X, like a diagonal across, because there's that wall in the middle. You're taking it on one side and putting it on the other.
That's how we mix actually one of our other tanks. For the Red Rock we have, she can mix through the top part. So you change the valve on her, and then you hook a pipe onto her, and it goes right to the other side of the tank.
Okay.
I never seen anybody using them 90-degree bends until this year, and Darren Mullen had a picture up of him doing it, and I went, all right, good idea.
Is this still on a slurry pump or on the back of the tanker?
On a slurry pump.
Oh, right, okay.
And then the next thing, is your man, he's from your part of the country. He comes up on my Facebook all the time. Is it Farm with Jack?
Oh, yeah. It's actually quite funny because his name isn't even Jack. His name's Chris Brady.
But he's Farm with Jack.
Yeah. I don't know. I just know that that's his actual name, because remember people were calling him Jack, and then obviously his name is Chris, but
right.
I don't know whether there's a family member or maybe his grandfather was Jack. I'm not sure.
Maybe Jack's the family name or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, his actual name isn't
Chris?
Jack. Yeah, it's Chris.
That's well, hey, I seen him with it, and he was doing it. There's a lot of his stuff coming up at the moment.
Yes.
He's all over my Facebook.
But have you noticed too that Facebook now seems to be full of like people mimicking TikTokers? So, like, for example, Andrew Morton comes up
all the time.
But
it's not
then
his
I
page.
did see Andrew commented on it at one stage. Please report this because it's not me.
Yeah, it's like they're farming his content.
Yeah.
For there's him, there's that
Farm
girl.
Theory 11.
Is it
Anna Downey comes
Anna
up
Downey
quite a lot
comes
as well.
up,
Yeah.
and it's literally
And then,
using their content.
Yeah, Farm with Jack or Chris Brady comes up a
And
lot
there's
too.
some amount of like followers.
Yeah, and
all the
they're
time.
probably making well, I don't know how it works for monitoring.
Funny Drift Games actually talked about this in their podcast recently, and they were saying about how you think like they're doing well, but actually they've got because it's just a farming page, they have absolutely no engagement.
Oh,
so
okay.
like, yes, they get a lot of likes and stuff through, but
But they're not actually.
there's nothing, like, it's not like there's any relatability because nobody actually knows who the people are behind it. Like, whereas, like, you know, like likes of us here, if we're posting content, like, people actually know it's us.
Yes.
Do you know, like, it's kind of one of them things.
Yeah.
So I don't actually think they get really any money or anything off that.
It's just that they're just robbing the content and using it for their own.
just content farming.
But it's bound to be very frustrating if you're the original creator of that. And
Yeah.
Thankfully, they're not doing it to us yet.
Just you wait.
I've seen a couple of our videos appear up on.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, mainly the 11090. And they
Is that
It's
the part
clickbait
4
really,
that
though,
never
isn't it?
came?
that's what it is. Yep. What you say?
It's clickbait. Like, people like just anything they think that's going to be create interaction for there.
It's basically our videos with any like captions removed. So like, you know, when it says like 11090 pure sound or whatever, it's the video with that bit removed. But then that first pull where I have them always set for about 5 seconds, that first 5 seconds is nearly the best sound of the whole lot.
Oh, and they've cut that out.
And they've cut it out. And I'm just like, right, you've just
ruined the video.
Well, would you say you're more of a livestock man or a machinery man?
Oh, definitely machinery.
You're a
Now, don't get me
machinery
wrong.
man.
I'm not interested in animals, but I suppose Dad's got a serious disease of shiny metal, a serious problem with shiny metal disease, and that's definitely rubbed off on me.
At least it's not scrap metal disease.
I told Conor a couple of weeks ago, we were walking around that show in Balmoral.
Yeah.
We were out talking to yous. Like, I said to Conor, I was like, do you know what? I was like, I'd probably enjoy going around Ballymena auction.
Just every bit as much.
And then I was in Ballymena auction lifting that slurry whisk.
Yes.
And I was walking through and I goes, no, I'd actually probably rather be here. Than
Do you know what's far worse, and it's so much easier access, is Facebook Marketplace.
It's
just a disaster.
It's
Oh,
dangerous.
yeah.
I find myself typing in things every day. Some days
It's something that you maybe don't even need,
No.
and you're sort of like, yeah.
But then you see and it's like, that's actually not badly priced. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can't. But I find auctions are the same because you have to pay, sometimes you have to pay that £200 fee. And then I'm like,
yes.
about Ballymena, you have to pay the £200 fee.
Oh, so you have to pay that even if you don't buy anything then? Is that the way that works?
If you want to bid at all, if you're
So
interested,
you need £200 for a bidder's
So
number?
you can view to your heart's content, but if you're
Okay.
thinking of bidding, then you have to pay the £200. So you
Okay.
pay the £200, you're like, I don't know, may as well buy something.
Yeah. You're sort of making it worth
So was your paddle mixer 200 plus?
No, they take that off. They take the 200 off, whatever you buy. But
So,
if I'm asked, the paddle mixer was cheaper than what it was.
the likes of your paddle mixer, you've obviously ran it on the 35.
Yes.
That was kind of the size of tractor it was designed for then, is it?
Yeah,
Or?
like I seen videos of boys saying they run them on our Leylands and Nuffields that were like 26 horsepower.
Right, okay.
And the whole idea was that some of them are actually designed that they actually are supposed to fit through the slats.
So you don't even need to lift your single slats out.
But
sort
the
of thing?
idea is that you go mix a bit, then go maybe 3 slats up.
Yes,
drop it in.
so you progressively mix your tank from start to finish,
Yeah.
essentially.
So that's what
Right.
but then like some people will tell you different. I don't know.
It was Star that manufactured it, wasn't it?
So E-Star, it's
Yeah.
probably from like 1972 or something.
Aye.
But to be honest, I had spent a lifetime looking on YouTube for videos of 35s mixing slurry, and there's none.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of said, you know what, if I get this, I might actually do a YouTube video
to see.
with it to show or not show. Like
How it works or how it didn't
yeah,
work.
and basically say, look, this is the 35, this is my tank here, it's whatever. But the reason for I said all this in the last pod, but basically I bought it because I only have the 110. And
Yes.
if especially now with fertiliser prices,
You're going to try and utilise your slurry as much as possible.
well, I always feel like you should be anyway, but
Yeah.
now it makes sense. Like beforehand, it was like if you've say ran the cattle over say 2.5, 3 acres,
Yeah.
and then you're sending them to the next bit, it'd have been you just run over to fertiliser, and now
Yeah.
it's a case of I want to do slurry, but the ordeal of putting the mixer in the 110, going and mixing the tank, taking the mixer off, and then you'd spend more time putting implements on and off than you actually would putting the tanker, like putting the slurry out. Honestly, it takes...
What do you be doing? His mixer's so handy to put on. It's literally just
do you know what?
the rear arms, you know.
It's like a semi-mounted sort of.
Do you know what? It's made the worst of them all to put on was the topper. The topper was always the worst to put on.
Well, did you ever have to put a disc mower on that doesn't like to sit level?
That was...
Yeah, we used to have a Marigan disc mower, and like if you took it off, particularly if you took it off wrong, but if you took it off wrong, it kind of like the headstock tilted over a wee bit, and then when you went to put it back on, like you lifted one side, and then it all just fell in a heap.
Yeah.
And you had one arm on, and the whole thing lying backwards, and like you had bits of block and stuff to try and get it to sit right.
The handiest way for you is to put a few tyres so the back end of it is higher than the front end.
So that kind of tilts your headstock back
over
again.
Your headstock. So whenever you take it off, obviously always take it off with if she tilts round to the side, put her that she's straight behind the tractor. Take her off that way where the back of her is higher than the front. That's the way we take our topper off.
See, I've only had that new topper one once,
and they're a disaster put on whenever you haven't got it higher at the back. Whereas if you had higher in the back, then it's far handy.
But that's what I mean. Like, whereas like you'd be out for ages, and even that's where I've always said I've struggled with just, and then getting out and having it because you've only one tractor. Certain implements have different the linkages are in different positions. So you have to then thread that all in together and all too.
It even comes down to like, with you working full time, obviously Saturdays are a very important day for you.
Yeah.
So like, if you're right, I'm going to go at slurry on Saturday. You want to have really everything set up, even Friday night.
Yeah.
To go then and hit a big burst on Saturday. So if your first job is to go out and mix your tank, and then it's lunchtime.
Yep.
Or for talk's sake, it could be lunchtime.
Yep.
And then you go to start your slurry. Whereas if you had the mixer on and the tanker on, you could start mixing the tank first thing in the morning, go and do your feeding or whatever, and come back.
And sure, you're only doing 4 or 5 loads.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm going far.
Aye.
So it's one of them things where you're nearly like, if you just had the wee 35, just keeping it turning near the...
It stops the crust coming back on it, really, doesn't it?
It just turns it, and if you get it beside a wall, it pulls it all in, and it kind of spreads the effect down. That's kind of my thinking was, I just threw the 35 in, and the whole time I'm drawing out.
Yeah, she keeps it sort of stirred up, really.
So you're getting your mixing done while you're...
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, if I had a 990 or a 990 Fate or a 390T or something like that lying about, I'd just whack the NC tier and do that.
Aye.
But it's just not...
That'll come in time.
I'd love that.
Just out of curiosity, so to pull things back, so Jack, you're from a farm background.
Yeah.
Your father always liked his machinery.
Yeah.
You're more a machinery man than a livestock man.
Yeah.
How did you end up being anything to do with lights then?
So, like yourself, work full time off the farm. Even before I worked for UTV, I worked full time off the farm.
Same industry as I used to work in too, the quarrying.
Yeah. Studied mechanical engineering at uni, and then got a graduate job as a manufacturing engineer. And that
manufacturing?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't even...
I was manufacturing quality. That was what my background in Telestack was.
Interesting.
So we'd have been sort of doing...
Well, like not Six Sigma, like Sheck and stuff like that, or PDIs, or...
Like mostly PDIs would have been a big part of my job, and then sort of like process changing within the factory. So sort of taking a look at a certain element of how the throughput of the factory was, and then making changes to that to make it more lean, really.
So you didn't do so it was all efficiency rather than so you weren't a designer?
No, I've never been a designer. So
right.
like my other than obviously doing design at uni, and then we would have done a certain degree of design previously, where you'd have sort of like designed jigs and fixtures and that sort of thing. But in terms of 3D modelling, that's been that's been a learning curve for me, really.
Like yourself, I done very, very little. Basically, my whole, even the way I done through my degree, I was always geared up to be a process engineer. Like, I had no interest sitting at like a computer designing things all day. Like I
think that's the key thing for me in UTV is there's still a good lot of variety. So whilst I'm doing design off the lighting, I'm also still heavily involved in the sales element of it.
Yes, of course.
And then technical support as well would be a big part of my role. So
Okay.
we do have people on the other end of the phone. So if you did decide to buy a set of lights for your tractor and you'd fitted them and something wasn't working, you can pick up the phone and ring UTV. And if you don't get speaking to the likes of myself or Ben directly, we will ring you back.
Right, okay.
And then we'll talk you through your problem. So like don't get me wrong, there's some things on newer machines that we'll be learning as we're doing it.
Like
but
canvas and stuff, or
that, and then because we've sort of got quite a lot of experience under our belt now, we could nearly diagnose the problem just on a very small amount of information. So somebody might say that, well, interestingly, a Fendt would be probably one of the tractors that we would have the most sort of dealings with. And that's purely because on the headlights in particular on a Fendt, there's no standardized wiring in them.
Oh.
So with an LED, it has to have, they're polarity sensitive.
Yes.
So you obviously need to have positive on the correct side.
Yeah.
Whereas with a halogen bulb, it didn't matter. So as long as the current's flowing through a bulb, it would have lit up.
Can take it
with an
direction.
LED didn't. That doesn't work. So what we're finding with the Fendt tractors in particular is your dip beam on one side. Well, generally the dip beam, is okay. Mm-hmm. The main beam on the left-hand side, the polarity could be port A could be positive and port B negative. And then on the right-hand side, port A could be negative.
Port B.
And port B positive. And then you'd be sort of, we learned this quite quickly. You'd have been saying to people, you're going to have to change your polarity because it was sort of still throwing up the error code and the lights weren't working. So the guys then went away off and they changed the polarity on the tractor, but they changed both sides. So then they moved the problem from
the
one
left light
to the
right
other
light or something.
So
like
then we had to then explain to them, you have to work on each light independent of each other. So disconnect everything and then start on one and get that one light working and then disconnect it before starting on the next one so that you don't end up sort of moving the fault from one side to the other.
And
really.
does that end up being that you just have to go into the loom, snip the wires and re-solder them?
You can de-pin you can de-pin it if you want to be
real tidy.
If you want to be real tidy, but we can supply polarity changing adapters as well.
Oh, fantastic!
Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody's clued in enough that they know how to de-pin like a super seal connector, you can de-pin it. Or if they then says, look, I can't do this, we can supply them with a connector that will go from A to B and
really handy actually.
B to A sort of thing.
Like, that's not a problem I'm going to have with the prehistoric equipment. Like, but
So you went to uni.
Yeah.
You did mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
And you then went in and you worked at Terex.
Telestack.
Telestack. And
so basically what I was doing then was I was going to work and then coming home. I bought a hedge cutter whenever I was on placement at Telestack.
Mm-hmm.
So then the hedge cutting became the nighttime job or
Lovely.
the evening time. So obviously from September onwards, the nights start to fall and your windows are quite short really for being able to do any hedge cutting in the evening. So you're either spending the entirety of your weekend getting the hedges cut or you were trying to work a bit into the night. Which then I soon realised that the lighting on the tractor was okay. It was a 5400 series Massey. The lights were just all right, but you had no light to one side, for example.
Yeah.
So you're able to see front and back. And then I bought what was called a scene light bar from UTV.
okay.
So I was a customer for UTV before I worked for them as well.
Okay. So
yeah.
how long have UTV been about?
The company was started in 2013.
Okay. Well, we'll get on to the history in a bit. But
Yeah.
I thought they were maybe only 6 or 7 years old.
Well, I started with them in 2018.
Okay.
So the company was running from obviously before I started with them. But
and why did you go to UTV? Because again, would you have seen
it was actually the farming forum. I don't know if you're on the farming forum.
on
Or
Facebook?
forum for farming. It would have been like at that stage you would have had forum sites, the same as the car forums, So the British Farming Forum was one, and then Forum for Farming and the Farming Forum. But UTV got a big amount of sort of
praise
on there, and I thought, you know what, they're like the kind of guys that sound like they know what I need. So the fella that owned the company at that stage was a man called Martin, and he had a really good name. He was a real gentleman to work. People liked his approach to things.
Yes, of course.
So I rang Martin one day and I said, look, I'm looking for lights for the front of our Massey. but they're flush mounted into the roof. And I couldn't see anything online for sale at that stage. And he says, look, I don't have anything, but if you're willing to work with me, we can design something for you. So that was fine. Went out with the calipers and took him a few measurements off the roof or whatever, and hole centers and the overall size of the oval and that. And the next thing arrived in the post was a lens, just literally the polycarbonate lens, no light or nothing, you know. And he says, try that to see if that lens is the right size to fit sort of the same places where your original halogen would be. So he'd obviously got this lens manufactured somewhere to what would have been the measurements that I'd got at that stage. And that was fine. The next thing, he sent me a light, and that worked. So we kitted out the front 4 lights on the tractor. And then conversation went on. At that stage, I was actually speaking to him on the Facebook page just. And he messaged me to say, you know, would I be interested in doing this sort of work a wee bit more permanently for him? And I sort of started with UTV actually doing social media.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
for somebody that has absolutely no social media background at all and don't understand, well, not that I don't understand metrics and that, but at that stage, I don't think the metrics was just as big a thing. Like we could have done a post on Facebook and easily got 50 or 60 comments on it. Like at that stage, Facebook's interaction, you were really quite easily, if you were posting the right content that people wanted to see, you didn't have to work for your interaction. You didn't have to work for likes. Like Facebook, it wasn't as commercial then, I don't think.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And plus, I suppose it was like a new thing back then.
That's it. Yeah. And people had never seen the like of this before.
Yes.
And they wanted to be able to see this sort of thing. Oh, that's really interesting. I wonder, can they do lights for my tractor and this, that, and other. So like I was posting up pictures of, well, I knew what I liked to see on Facebook. So I suppose that was how I focused the marketing at that stage. So like I knew I liked to see like a real tidied up tractor with a big set of tires and fancy set of lights.
Of course.
Excuse me, a fancy set of lights on it. So that's sort of how I started then. And then he offered me a job full time to come and join the company at that stage. So actually was still quite enjoyed my work in Telestack. And I said to him, look, I will come to work for you, but I don't want to leave Telestack in the lurch, because I was working on quite a big project that really was actually following on from what I'd done from a dissertation at uni.
Okay.
So I actually
did you do your dissertation with Telestack?
Yeah.
So that's complete opposite how we done them. We never really done it. Like, that was a thing I think in Georgetown was very much pushed.
Yeah.
Was do your dissertation with your company that you done placement with. Whereas for us it was all packed.
Oh, right. Okay. So we actually got, I think it actually was based on your performance in previous years.
Okay.
Was to where you actually fitted into picking your project, really. So there was a select amount of projects and you could pick like an industrial project if it suited what you were doing. So the project I was still working on in Telestack at that stage was still heavily related to what I'd done from a dissertation. So I said to Martin, like, I'll come to you, but I don't want to leave them in the lurch with this project.
And you want to see it through, you know, it's a
that's
completion,
it too.
sense of satisfaction and completion, of course. And
I also, at that stage, wanted to leave myself that, well, it was kind of going into the unknown.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I was going to be working from home, and this, ironically, was January 2020, before COVID set in, and before anybody really was working from home at all.
Yes.
I remember my boss at the time saying to me, like, I think had worked from home for a while at one stage, and he said, whenever you go to work from home, you need to be disciplined.
Aye.
You know, so you need to be getting up in the morning. Don't be thinking you can work from your bed on the laptop. Like, that's just not going to work, which it was never my nature anyway, because you were getting up to go out to the farm anyway. So like it didn't really matter. But so in January 2020, I started working for UTV full time, having done a little bit of sales and went to the odd show with them. And then obviously the marketing and stuff in the evenings and weekends for them. And started to work full time for them, predominantly in sales.
Right, okay.
So when I say sales, it was like still technical sales. So again, we focused mostly at that stage on designing a range of connectors.
Rather than lights itself?
So we were designing a certain degree of lighting at that stage.
Okay.
But because the company was small, it takes quite a considerable investment of money to actually create products from scratch.
Yes.
So the bigger we've grown, means we can then justify investing
Aye.
more into the development, which
Yes.
is where we're sort of at now. So everything we're doing now, we're trying to create as UTV unique. So that design is entirely owned by UTV.
Okay.
And then, going back to the connectors end of it. So we focused originally on using our knowledge to be able to take a tractor's plug and then making the interconnect or the adapter cable to go between that plug to our lights.
I assume then, because I'm pretty sure. I'll need to move. I'm pretty sure though that a lot of that must be to do with the newer stuff, but because I'm pretty sure a Fate's like a H4, and probably a lot of that older stuff is probably all just H4.
So you'd have found on I think the earliest tractor that I've seen a specific connector on is probably a late 300 series Massey.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So like the
What would
early
that have been from? When did I go by Massey?
2002 was it?
Okay.
I think it was around then.
I
can't. I should know the answer to that one, but unfortunately, I don't.
The only reason I'm saying that is maybe before that, Massey might have used just standard and then maybe used Agco, because you were talking about Fenton. And I thought maybe Massey and
in the 300 series Masseys up to 95.
I was going to say that was before
had crimp on connectors.
Okay,
and then from like 95 to the end of the 97. The work lights then came with Sumitomo connectors, I think they were called.
Right.
And then it allowed then the work lights to be plug and play. So we now have the connector that'll do like the late 3. But this is where it gets a wee bit more difficult, because if somebody rings up and said, I've got a 390T, I want to change the work lights on it, you have to go into the finer detail of what year is your tractor.
Yeah,
because it's sort of like 95 onwards was that connector, and anything before that it was have a cut and join.
And would there be any difference even in like is there like a high line or something? Do you call like what do you?
There was a low profile plus and then a high line, but the high line and the wiring loom was the same.
Oh, okay.
So it was.
So was like the business more or less for a period of time that, you know, Joe Blogs, they bought lights, but then it was, as you say, getting everything plug and play for your lights.
Making lights work.
So that like
so that's where we've sort of developed specifically in the agriculture sector was connectors to suit as many tractors as we can.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'd say now we're on could be 50 different adapter connectors.
Holy
wow.
Ghost.
So
and 49 of them for fence probably.
well, do you know what? Massey's probably one of the one with the widest range.
Really?
Yeah, like you take a 7.7 series, like a 7726 for example.
Yeah.
The roof lights are one type of connector. The ones on the mudguards are the same connector as the roof lights, but the polarity is different. And then the one on the front belt line above the indicators is a different connector again. So on that tractor, you have 3 different connectors essentially.
How does that? And going back to like your manufacturing engineering roots, how does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make
and
sense.
And the same with like a 6400 series Massey.
Yeah.
The connectors in the front 4 lights and the back 2 on the back of the cab are wired one way. And then the ones in the rear mudguards and the ones in the steps are wired the opposite way around.
But would you not have thought that modularity would have been key?
Yeah.
Did you go through some headaches to find that out?
Well, like, yeah. Because then even people...
Absolutely.
you created this wiring kit and then somebody would rang up and they'd have started with maybe the rear mudguard lights. And they'd have fitted the connectors that you'd got for the roof onto the mudguards, and they're like, oh, these lights don't work. And it's like, well, what connector did you use? Oh, I didn't know there was a different. They all look the same. Because it's literally the same plug.
Okay.
So the actual connector end is identical same, but the pins are put in the other way around.
So do you color code the adapters now, or how do you work that?
We have like a part number label on them,
Okay.
and then you can sort of change the part number for the different connectors or whatever.
So would you say, in theory, if I was to go and order lights, say for the 6.7, that you're nearly better? I suppose the more people hear this year, the better. That if you're going to, you know, you have a tractor and you want to change the halogen lights for LED,
Yeah.
you're nearly probably better being like, yes, go with UTV's product, it's amazing. But in regards to, like, with the experiences I've gained, like, double check with them what connectors you actually need for your specific tractor.
Because I think that's the key thing, and it's hard to to sell that element of it. So it's not easy to sell lights.
Not
it's
when there's a lot of so
hard to-
many cheap alternatives out
That's
there.
it. Yeah, but it's hard to get people to understand that there's more to it than just buying a light off the
Yeah.
shelf.
Because like, you could see possibly a post on Facebook and someone has went and bought your product,
Yeah.
and they're fitting it in their tractor and like, this doesn't work. Somebody below it being like, oh, they're crap, or
Or
they're
someone,
this,
I
they're
had
that,
the same problem.
And,
They're-
and yeah,
and they're putting it down. But to be fair, there was one post, and I have to give it to you, is somebody was having bother, someone else was slandering, another person was slandering, and somebody just went, this is just simple. Did you get in contact with us? No, I didn't. But they went to a Facebook post sort of thing.
Yeah.
So then all they really needed
you were never
was-
given a chance to actually
Yeah.
fix
Yes.
it. Yeah.
But I think some people just they get really, really angry and they just go straight for the. They would never think because they probably don't think.
But I actually would find myself not scrolling through Facebook, but I do watch them Facebook posts like a hawk now, because even the other night, a fella put up maybe 7 o'clock in the evening. He was in the process of fitting a set of headlights to his 700 series Massey, and he just put up a picture of the inside of the bonnet. Says, "How do I get these headlights out?" And he had actually written in his post, "I bought a set of UTV 300 and I'm trying to fit them to this tractor and I don't know how." But like, he obviously didn't understand that if he had sent us a WhatsApp even or give us a call, like we'd have helped him through that. And I saw that post and I sent him a message. I actually replied to it publicly, because it's good for people to see that we have that know-how.
Yeah.
And I talked him through what he needed to do, and it is quite straightforward if you know what you're doing, and it was a matter of he needed to wind the adjusters fully out, and then you could remove the entire plate, and then you have to actually go at it the other way with a Torx head.
Yes.
So you can take it off with the socket so far, but then obviously the socket gets blinded by the plastic adjuster, because it kind of winds out so far, and then
Yeah.
the socket slips off, but it's still connected to the light.
But like, I'll even say, like, from personal note,
Yeah.
if the likes of I was viewing that there, or I had bought lights,
Yeah.
you would never really think of contacting the company directly.
No, that's,
And it's
you know-
purely because people have got used to AI responses, or just get a
absolutely.
chatbot. Like, the days of actually being able to speak to customer services now has become few and far between.
or
I
they
think.
just assume, oh, well, them boys are never going to answer the phone.
Aye, they're not gonna know.
Like, why would them
Yeah.
boys? Why would I call them? They just design lights. They don't actually fit them.
Yeah.
You know.
I suppose then the other thing is, if the wrong person sees that and they, for whatever tractor they have, had a notion of buying your lights,
Yeah.
and they see some sort of negativity, that
Yeah.
could put them off buying that set of lights.
That's it.
And as you say, if you're watching them like a hawk and you're fit to reply to them,
Then people will see that negativity and say, "Oh, well, actually, if you scroll on down, they've responded to that."
Or even it says like I'm fitting such and such, and then the next comment is, because probably I would say if they say UTV lights and then UTV lights comes up, I think the algorithm
It sort of does kind of link to it.
would work in your favour,
Yeah.
and then would say, "Hey Fred, we see you fitted these lights.
Yeah.
This is not how they go. Give us a shout. Cheers, Jack."
Yeah.
And people will go, "Oh, fair." As Conor
Yeah.
saying, you'd nearly go fair play, and that's
Yeah.
nearly a bigger sales tool.
Because I actually even sometimes, rightly or wrongly, will reply to people that are having trouble with lights that bought possibly elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because that's your customer of the future.
Yep.
yes,
So, like, they might have struggled with lights that they bought from somewhere else where didn't get any technical support
Yeah.
from said place. And then if you're able to offer them assistance, then they're like, "All right, okay." So,
And then when their lights burn out, they'll go, "All right, cool. Well, I'll go to these
well,
boys." in
the,
this
the
town."
guy that put up the post on Facebook the other evening, he actually then messaged me privately. Like, I'd responded to him, and he messaged me privately after. He said, "Hey, thank you very much for your help. I managed to get them sorted." And then he dropped in and he says, "Do you work for UTV?" And then I was able to say to him, "Well, actually, I designed the light that you're trying to fit." And then he's like, "All right, spoke to the right man then." It wasn't just a case of you're just responding as any sort of person. It was like the person that actually made the light that you're trying to fit.
Where did so how did you mentioned a guy called Martin, but
Yeah.
did he start UTV then?
He started UTV,
So
yeah.
where did it all come from? Because
The name UTV is funny because it actually came from. So his original company was Hire and Golf Buggies,
so like
and then he had like
terrain vehicles.
Kawasaki mules and that kind of stuff. So it would have been the
utility terrain. Yeah.
So that was where UTV came from, and like if the original name was something like UTV bits,
Okay.
and he actually made a 3-point linkage for the front of a Kawasaki mule.
Right.
wow.
So that was
play.
kind of where it all started. And then he obviously started to sell a few lights for them as well. And then people seen the product that he was selling was good. So like he always had the ethos that he wanted to have a good quality product
I agree,
right
yeah.
from then. And that's definitely set a really good foundation
100%.
for where we are as a company now.
Well, it's premium.
Yeah.
You know, it's the premium product.
And then he found that the lighting worked well and he was quite popular for it. So then it kind of moved into UTV products, LED lighting.
Yes.
But the UTV stayed because we'd become known. And then it kind of had an easy kind of UTV. Like it's not hard to remember.
Yeah,
You know?
UTV lights just
Rolls off the tongue quite
Yeah.
easily.
It's not like our podcast.
And then and then we sort of at one stage wondered, do we rebrand? Do we try and change the name to something else? And then we're
That can
sort
do
of
a
thought
lot of
it can-
damage.
yeah, it
That
can.
do a lot of damage.
You're essentially starting from scratch again.
Oh, very much
And
so.
then we sort of thought, well, why don't we make a play on the UTV? So whilst it originated from sort of the utilitarian terrain vehicles or
Buggies
whatever
and stuff, yeah.
we've now come up with Ultra True Vision. So it's taken the UTV
Yeah.
and then sort of
Doesn't stand for
the amount of time
utility terrain vehicle at all. It's actually
Ultra True Vision.
Ultra True Vision.
Yeah.
Ultra True Vision.
And then the amount of times, like this is going to be specific to us here in Northern Ireland, but the amount of times you get asked to work for a TV channel.
Funny.
And like hard Fulton tractors, it's not Paul in the stores, it's one of the other fellas. And I used to ring up and I says, can I speak to Paul? And they'd be like, hey, who is it? Or yeah, no other. Can I just ask who's speaking? It's Jack from UTV Products. Well, Jack from BBC, how are you getting on? And that there must have been months when that went on. Like, and I don't know who the fella was. I can't remember who it was, but
it's Julian here from UTV.
Exactly. And that, like I remember,
UTV.
I think me and one of the other fellas, we were out doing. It was actually the day we went to see Andrew Wright, and we're walking across the street in Oma. And one of the people says, do you work for the TV channel? And we're like, no, we work for UTV Products LED lighting. And they're like, all right, I thought maybe they were recording something down here. They just don't understand. But
So, well, we can talk to you about lights. That's still pretty interesting too, if you guys, you know.
Just out of curiosity, Jack, see in regards to, you've obviously moved into the design of the products now. The likes of your mock-up there, how many iterations and that do you have to go through till you get your product, or what way do you go about it?
Too many, says some.
Yeah. Well, we sort of start out, we want to try and retain the OEM style of the halogen.
So you've said that at the very start. It's like
Do
you are
sorta-
OEM.
Do you
Yeah.
nearly remove the lights and look at them, judge them, and
sort
size
of
them up?
measure and kind of have an idea of what we want to achieve. Right down to something as simple as like your original halogen light had screws in the front.
We talked about this.
Yes.
Like, I know it sounds really trivial, but like if you make that light just with a black bezel and nothing on it, and then you put that beside, that's inherently a copy of a Hella AFF, which would have been fitted to JCBs and Fendt and some Case tractors. And it just looked odd without the screws.
Yeah.
So these screws don't actually serve any purpose.
They're just
They're literally
just
imitation.
aesthetic.
You screw them in to nothing. So that's not actually, because the lens is actually held on by the screws in the back.
wow.
But we have done that now into the rectangular one as well. So
And is that the likes of like what my Fate would have?
yeah.
Or?
So like we have a 398 that I'm currently restoring at home, and I like to put LED lights on it, but I still want them to be that bit more OEM looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to have the screws, I know it sounds a bit stupid.
No, I
but,
completely agree with you. I think the same for even my Fate.
you know, and even right down to the design of the fins on the back. Mm-hmm. You know, like if it looks really
looks-
weird, it kind of like we have kind of started into this kind of curve type fin, and we're going to copy that same design across all that. That's going to be our sort of not USP, but if you looked at that light from behind,
know it's a
I'd know
UTV
that
light.
was a UTV light.
Yeah.
You know. And then this particular one's going to have the bracket that can be removed from the center mount and can be mounted from the side.
Yeah.
So you then have, now obviously that technology is still in our current lighting, but we just want to be able to have that same unit then. So if a man buys them for a TM, for example,
Yes.
the rear cab lights on the back of the roof and the ones above the mudguards are the same light.
Well, then there's one thing I found. I think you have released it quite recently.
Yeah.
Like you have went in nearly to the bespoke light package that comes in a T7 at the front of it, or
We've
even
done
T6.
the low bonnet T6, and we're in the process of doing the T7 and the T6000 high bonnets, full replacement headlight unit.
And is it just demand that you because like I would say now, like you look at your old kits, was it the UTV 361? Is that mine is?
Yeah.
Right. So you think, as you said, you can use that 10 series, 20 series Deers, 100 series Massey's, Fiat 110, 90, 40
So
series.
it's well worth investing the money in developing that light because it's so widely used.
But that's modular. Whereas now, you know,
With the likes of your T7000 headlight, it literally fits a T7000. And that's it.
Yeah, it's not going to fit like a 7726 Massey.
No.
Do you know, they're a completely different design now.
Yeah.
And you're not even, it's not as if you're just providing like a small insert, but it's the full headlight, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And we have for quite a number of years done the inserts for the work lights. Mm-hmm. So we can do the work lights on the T6 and T7s.
Yes.
But then the module for the headlight, high and low beam at the bottom.
Yeah.
It was kind of sealed into the headlight unit. And then people were putting LED bulbs and that in them. But what people don't realise is an LED bulb inside a standard halogen headlight housing isn't road legal. I know it's a bit of a grey area in the sort of a car.
Because of the pattern that it emits?
It's not controlled enough.
Yeah.
So the way the light is emitted from a standard halogen bulb is essentially 360.
Yes.
Whereas with an LED bulb, it's typically emitted from the top and the bottom.
Uh-huh.
So it's not really a 360 light the same way as a halogen would be.
Yeah.
So then it doesn't perform the same way inside a halogen reflector housing.
That makes sense, is because you meet someone on the road with LED lights, and the person who's driving the car who has LED lights can't necessarily see any better.
Yeah.
But they're blinding everybody else in the night, and it's because of the reflector design.
Yeah. And it goes back even, like I remember trying LED bulbs in standard halogen work lights.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember thinking I was the big lad. I went on to eBay and I bought a packet of LED bulbs. And at that stage, we had our 6615 Massey, put the LED bulbs into the light. And it was worse than the halogen lights.
Yeah.
There was literally no light off them. They were really bright when you were looking directly at the light. But if you went over there was no light.
Yeah, they had no pattern. They had no distance at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that actually leads me on quite nicely to one of the things I was thinking about. So whenever I first started with UTV, obviously it was in the development of new products from then. Maybe not so much design as in completely unique products at that stage, but we're finding a lot of people are asking what lumens our lights are.
Okay.
And lumens is quite an open-ended subject, really, in that you could have a light with, say, 6,000 lumens, and you could have a light with 3,000 lumens, and the light with 3,000 lumens will be higher output.
Is that to do with the watt spot?
It's more to do with the lens design.
Okay.
And
how it projects the light.
And how it projects the light. So I remember one of the first ever sort of field tests I did was I had like a 27 watt eBay special LED work light that had on something, and then I just recently joined UTV at the stage and I got one of the UTV 27 watt lights and put the two beside each other as crude as you like on top of a wee workbench and a drill battery and two switches, and went down to one of the fields where we have a lane with a hedge up both sides. Thought this is a really good test because it gives you the sense of distance.
Absolutely.
Because you knew how far down that lane you were lighting up the hedge. So I switched on the sort of the eBay one and it lit up a certain degree, and then I switched on the UTV one. And now, bearing in mind, these were both 27 watts and both 2,200 lumens on paper.
Yes.
And like you would have sworn that the eBay one wasn't switched on whenever you switched on the UTV. Wow. And that to me, like at that stage, I didn't work for UTV full time. I was just at that stage, really, I could have said I was more a user than anything else, because that's how early on in the process it was.
Yeah.
And I was mind blown by that.
Sold.
And like going back to doing Facebook posts, that particular post on Facebook blew up because people were like, whoa, like what light's that on the right? And the funny part of it was that was like the cheapest light that we did. So
Right.
like that light was maybe 30 quid. Like it wasn't an expensive light by any stretch of the imagination.
That's insane.
Yeah. And since then, like companies now are putting massive lumen values on boxes of lights. Whereas what we're always very key at putting is we're putting the actual lumen value.
Okay.
Yes.
So like you from your engineering background as well will understand that you can have inefficiencies in certain.
Yeah, 100%.
So like whenever you put an LED chip inside a housing, then you've got inefficiencies in the lens, and then the actual transmission inefficiency when the light's being transmitted as well.
Yep.
So you could have an LED chip with really high lumen and then a terribly designed sort of reflector technology, and then you've no performance at all. And then a lot of the companies that are putting really high theoretical lumens on their boxes are using, say that light had, say 10 LED chips in it, and in a lab environment, that LED chip produces 500 lumens in its raw form on a test bench. So they're saying that light with 10 LED chips in it is 5,000 lumens. But in actual fact, once you put that light onto a PCB and take the inefficiencies in the PCB and then the inefficiencies in the lens, your light could only have maybe 3,500 lumens.
Right.
I never thought about any of that.
Yeah, so that's quite key in that, like the lumen value that we're putting on our boxes,
It's true.
it's a true lumen value, whereas it can actually be lower than some other companies, but the actual light output in practice is much higher.
So like the difference between UTV and normal other potential LED lights is they are up to 5,000 lumens.
Yeah.
Use our 5,000 lumens.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know? And then another thing, whenever we're doing our design, we focus heavily on the lux. And that's something that
Something I was going to ask about as well, but you've
a lot
led
of
me
people
onto that well.
don't know what lux actually is. So lux is how well that light performs at distance.
Yes.
Oh.
And it's the quantity of light at, say, 10 meters away from the light source.
Yeah.
So like we'll take, whenever we're doing our sort of prototype test, and we'll take readings at 1 meter, 10 meters, 20 meters, 50, and maybe even 100 meters. And like we have a light that's given us 1 lux at 135 meters, which is like light bar territory.
That's insane.
So
What
like,
lights are they?
sorry?
What lights are they?
There are UTV 3023s.
And what
Now,
can you-
don't get me wrong, they're high current draw because they're 120 watts.
Oh, big alternator needed.
Yeah.
What would you put them on?
We have actually guys running full sets of them on fence.
Of course it would be.
Yeah.
Of course.
But
it's a
even like forestry guys.
Adrian Tugwell,
Aye.
Jack's your man.
But forestry guys.
That makes absolute sense. Yeah.
Because like you go into a forest and your light's entirely lost. Like even in a bright day, the
Because it
forest's
absorbs.
dark.
Yeah, it
does.
absorbs.
And there's nothing for light to reflect off.
No.
In the forest. So like the guys driving log forwarders, even diggers, mulching heads and that sort of thing, they want as much light as possible.
There's David Cuddy as well for you.
Perfect for the likes of him, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
That's I never actually thought about the forestry. You probably get quite a lot of your
We do, yeah. Now, like at this stage, our main market is agriculture, but we do quite a bit into forestry. We're pushing more into construction. We're doing some commercial, but again, we're trying to grow ourselves in that market as well.
So whenever you say commercial, are you talking about lorries?
So lorries and stuff, yeah.
I think the lorry, and lads, don't shoot me, don't come on me here. But I think the lorry industry is very, very brand driven. Mm-hmm. You know, as is agriculture, but you guys kind of have the agricultural name.
Yes.
Like whereas in the lorry industry, you're going to be going in and fighting with the likes of McKelsa or Bracken
Yes.
and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's not that they do bars and all that kind of stuff, but is that the type of stuff you would have to be offering then as well? Like actual bars to put the lights on and stuff?
It would be something we would look at doing down the line, but at the moment we are just selling sort of
The actual lights
replacement lights themselves. And again, because people want more and more distance. Mm-hmm. But like the like of that UTV 3023, people don't understand just how much current that's actually drawing. Like we have to be careful that people have this thought process where typically a light is advertised at, say, 50 or 60 watts. Oh, that's LED. That's not drawing very much current. But that's because they've been brought up to know that LEDs typically don't draw that much current.
Yes.
But we're into high performance LED technology now, where the lights are actually drawing the current. Like in that 3023, the LED chip inside it, each chip's 20 watts.
Wow.
Right.
Whereas you could have multiple 1 watt chips. But obviously the higher output or the higher power the LED chip is itself, then the more light output you'll get from it.
And so, like, is that designed to go in, like, when you say 3023,
Yeah.
is that like one of the ones that you have in front of you, or is it a bespoke design? Like, you say it's for fence, but like,
You could fit it to anything, really.
Could it, so for argument's sake, is it supposed to be a work light?
It is a work light.
It's a work light, so it's not a headlight.
No.
So for argument's sake, I could fit it to my 110.
You could, yeah.
And melt alternator in 30 seconds. But
If you put a bigger alternator,
If you put a bigger, well, you might actually get away with the alternator, might be okay, but it would be the wire, and the original wiring would be where you'd have to run
Melt it.
relays and that, you know.
we could try it with Mary.
Now, now this is something you might not want to include, but it just came into my head, and I thought, why not ask it?
Okay.
So like, I know obviously you're not in this market whatsoever.
Okay.
But just as has indeed come into my head, you've the likes of Land and that that do the automotive sector.
Yeah.
Has UTV ever thought of the likes of retro doing the likes of your headlights and your taillights for cars? Because if
You'd make some money doing clear tails.
because realistically, the thoughts would be, you look at like every Mark 6 Golf in the country.
Yeah.
They're all running probably Vland headlights and taillights at £350, £400 for front and back.
Yeah.
And now, all the young ones, instead of some of them now going to lower their car, they're putting on their headlights and taillights to look like a Golf GTD or your Golf
Yes,
R's.
they're sort of trying to match the technology that's in.
Do you think you'll ever go into that market, or is it probably
possibly
something?
not cars at the moment, but we do like the idea of bringing that technology into tractor tail lights.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you know what I mean, because it's well and good having an LED tail light that looks identical, same as what the halogen did, but then that doesn't really have appeal. You know, if you could do a tail light with dynamic indicators in it, it kind of creates a wee bit more flair.
Yes.
You know, people want to have something that looks a wee bit different, so that's kind of where we're focusing now. Obviously, we're going to need to keep sort of something very OEM looking.
Yes.
But then also offer that as an option where, so like for example, the 54 and 64 series Massies.
Yes.
We have in process designing a completely OEM style side light indicator unit.
Yes.
But then we also have the unit with dynamic indicators and more sort of like the outer corners of it illuminated as your side light. So it's created a wee bit more sort of upmarket. And at first I sort of thought this isn't going to really go down that well, because again, as I said before, I'm quite wanting to keep things OEM.
Yeah.
But for somebody that wants to keep things OEM, it actually looks really good.
See, and the likes of, when you just talk about like the different fancy lights and stuff.
Yeah.
My 361s have a fourth wire.
For the daytime running lights.
Oh, is that what they are?
So there's a wee daytime running light in it that you can run off a switch live or off the ignition, you know. So then it essentially runs all the time.
I actually thought it was for, I thought maybe it was for an amber light.
Oh yeah. Funny, we're actually in the process of developing new headlights with amber and white marker lights in them as well.
I was thinking it was for like, you know, for like exactly that, for like beacons.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought it was, a marker light.
If you've noticed on Gareth's, his limited edition fast track that he did.
The white one?
Yeah. He has a set of our UTV 330s that we custom built for him with amber DRLs.
Right,
That's right, and he rattles on about
that.
His is the only set of UTV 330s with amber DRLs in the entire world. Because he wanted to be able to keep the match with the spotlights that he had on the roof.
Yeah,
and then keep the ones on the belt line the same. He didn't want to go and bring a white daytime running light into it.
For when we went and done the interview to lift the TM, he specifically had to keep them lights on because he wanted to show them off.
And it actually, you know, when you see it, because even his colour scheme on the artwork on the bonnet and the artwork around the orange and the cream works so well, and then bringing that orange into the lighting as well looks fantastic, really.
And would you happily, like, if I turned around and money was burning a hole in my pocket, because I understand this is unique, and when it's unique and individual, you can't be expected to foot the bill. Like, you guys can't expect to foot the bill for 500 parts. Like, that cost has to be me. Could you literally make me something with like a red ring or a blue ring or the
DRLs and a Massey, you know, the top two spots?
Yeah.
Would you ever do that?
We've brought that into the headlights.
Okay, yes.
So the ones lower down on the bonnet, and on our to-do list is to bring that DRL into the work light to suit there as well. Because it would mean then that same light can be used going back to a Fendt, but you could use that same light with the DRLs in the roof of a Fendt or some other tractors that has that same. But yeah, that's one thing on the Massey that looks really smart is the 2 Angel-Eye DRLs in the top of the bonnet.
That's right, I forgot about that actually. But you could use, in theory, nearly make anything as long as like...
Yeah. We can start from scratch and make a light bespoke to anything, really.
That's not me hinting. I'm just genuinely, if someone someone was listening, like someone like Gareth, you know, or someone that has a, like, for instance, there was is it DMCC Groundworks had that purple chameleon wrap
paint on it almost. Yeah.
Someone like that maybe wanted like a purple outline or something on it. Like,
you can change the LED chips in them to different colours. Yeah.
Yes, that's more sort of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't even really be a full design of a...
No, you can just change the actual... That was essentially what we did for Gareth, was we manufactured his set with, instead of white LEDs, we put amber LEDs in the DRLs. Okay,
so you could make to order in theory if that was the case.
Yeah.
That's what has been the most troublesome light you've worked on to date? We'll have to get some of the goss here, like, in
terms of like what giving bother,
or not necessarily I don't mean in a bad quality perspective, but either technical wise, it's the one you're on the phone about the most, probably the polarity and the fence.
I would say the UTV 300 in terms of getting it to fit. Even the fitting into the roof of the Fendt was a big thing at the start. So going right back to initial design stages of the length of the light, it had to be long enough that it didn't miss the hole, essentially, that the lens sat in the right place, but then it had to be short enough that it didn't clash with the back of the plastic housing on the high level headlights.
Yes.
And then that brought in, so when it fitted there, it then was too long for some other places, so then we had to make an adapter bracket to move it back for some other tractors.
Yes, of course.
And then the Fendt is probably the hardest in terms of error codes.
Yeah.
For it, it's reading that you've got a blowing bulb or a headlight blowing or a headlight out.
Is that to do with the canvas system?
It's to do with the canvas system, yeah. So we've had to then use a load resistor kit then to mimic the loading on the light.
Absolutely.
So we can leave a Fendt with no error codes at all, which is quite a big thing. That's taken quite a lot of work to get to that stage.
And see, for a lot of, like, especially I would say for English customers, like, that's not so much a thing over here, but over in England, a lot of the tractors are on hire.
Yes.
Like, so
they want it to be plug and play as well, so that they're not actually having really cut anything. You know, it's literally, if that tractor goes off hire, they can put the halogens back in and go straight back into standard spec again.
Yeah, for the likes of me or anybody with a modern classic, you don't mind probably getting out with snips and the soldering iron. Like, that's just, it is what it is. It's part and parcel.
If you're me, you do. That's why whenever you make the plug and play
with the likes of your own tractor there, if you change that down the line, if you put lights on it now and then you change it down the line, well, you've just invested heavily in a set of lights for it. I've just bought another tractor. Well, you're not going to just, because you'll be allowed something on trade-in, but you might as well keep them. You might as well transfer them onto the new machine, really.
True, yes.
Would the lights be the same?
I suppose all
work lights would be, work lights would be,
And it's funny, whenever I actually, priced at the time, if I was put the DRLs in, it was astronomical, because obviously you had to put the different boards and all that crack and then get them wired differently. So it made absolutely no logical sense. Whereas if you guys came out with the likes of some similar, it probably would work out to be a third of the price.
What we're finding too is, people are realising that the lighting that's being offered by manufacturers, just because it's got the manufacturer name on it, doesn't mean it's the be-all, end-all. It doesn't mean that that light is the best light you can buy.
It's possible a lot of it's actually done quite cheaply.
Yeah. And what you're finding is they're buying the lighting from another supplier.
100%.
And then they're obviously whacking on their margin on it.
Yep.
And then selling it to you at a premium price. Like, we can more than double the light output on an R Series John Deere for less than half the price of what the R Series kit is from the factory.
Wow.
Holy ghost.
And it's actually one thing that sticks in my mind is a customer fitted our LED lights to his R Series who had actually had genuine John Deere factory fitted LEDs. And his comment to me was, the John Deere lights light up the bonnet, yours lights up the field. So that's coming back into your sort of your looks. So the John Deere lights might look bright near the hand, but in actual fact, they're producing no light at distance at all. So he said he couldn't actually see anything in the field. He could see the bonnet and he could see maybe his implement at the front, but he couldn't see what his implement was going to run over.
And ironically, John Deere have changed from their old style in the R Series LEDs to now a newer
new
style.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question, because this is someone's back to the more work lights, but something I've always, and I have lights on the tanker. I haven't used them yet because I haven't it all wired in, but they're just, I think they're Durates or something. But I would be open to changing them, because I'll tell you one thing I've always found: when you're spreading slurry at night, it doesn't matter if your slurry is dark. For some reason, once it gets dark, you cannot see with the work lights in the tractor or whatever. You cannot see where you've spread at night time. Well, for me personally, I find it very, very difficult to see. So I had thought, right, I might put work lights on the back of the tanker instead and have them at an angle, basically to either side, and hopefully that way you would see. But I still don't know, and I guess it comes down to maybe it's too bright in a certain area and I mightn't see.
The best one I've ever seen on a slurry tanker was I did it for a neighbour for a dribble bar. Now, a dribble bar is obviously different to a splash plate because you can see the lines maybe a bit clearer, but we actually mounted the lights at the front of the tanker.
Okay.
So like where your pipe hangers are, left and right, and we lit up the entire sides of his tanker then.
Okay.
Rather than just his spread pattern.
Right.
And then he actually found then, having no lights on in the tractor at all, he could see better by just having the tanker lights on and nothing else, because you're not reflecting back off the front of the tanker.
I think there's definitely merit in that argument for sure.
Yeah, because it's the same as like if you're driving into like snow, if you had a light bar on the roof or even fog, you actually find this was ultimately why fog lights are at the bottom. It's because they're sort of below what you need to see.
So mounting the lights at the top. So I have the lights at the top because my tanker actually didn't have any lights on it at all. So I welded on my own frame to put lights on. So maybe even me having the work lights at the top is actually not the right idea for that. Maybe I should be going low.
It's more if you have your work lights on at the back of the Fiat.
Turn them off. And just use the tanker lights.
But then you said you had the tanker lights at the front of the tanker rather than the rear. But then
for the dribble bar more, he was maybe wanting to be able to see his full width.
But I suppose what I'm asking here is the likes of your typical thin-bodied, say your Durates or whatever. Look, they obviously have their place too, of course. And they do a good job.
Well, we actually have a range called our Luca range.
Okay.
Which would be the equivalent to that sort of light, and it's kind of not cheap and cheerful because it's still good enough quality, but it sort of fills that gap in the market, because ultimately not everybody's going to want to put, well, for the likes of a slurry tanker, you don't need to put a premium product necessarily on it.
I say you're in a universal type.
Well, my question was going to be actually, should you consider putting the premium product on it if it actually makes your life 10 times easier? Like if I can go and even like coming up to the times of the band where it's starting to get dark at 7 o'clock at night and you're wanting to spread to 9:30, 10.
Well, it certainly would give you a lot more visibility. And that's again down to the performance of the light at distance.
But I suppose the other thought is, like, what would you as I say, it's very, very hard to see slurry on the grass. So is there more... Especially
whenever the dew's also there. So you're not even looking for wet anymore because everything's wet.
It's okay.
You're looking for darker wet.
It's okay if you're doing it on... It's okay if you're doing it on
like a freshly cut field.
Silage
Stubbles,
ground.
really. Yeah.
Silage ground's fine, but
Yeah.
the likes of me going out here, like, and it's all paddocks or
Yeah.
like wee small paddocks, and say, because I work full time, and say I have had a handling where I come home and something's happened or whatever, and I'm not getting out
Yeah.
till later on, and it's starting to get
And
dark.
you still need to get the slurry out.
Even twilight can
Yeah.
be quite difficult to see.
Twilight's
things.
probably the hardest light you can work in, really, because it's not dark and it's not light, really. It's
So
sort of.
it was more if you were even to recommend like a different color or a softer light, or like, no, you need a light that does this, or like,
Yeah.
what would you even have said for a tanker? What would you say for what would you recommend for a tanker?
I would say we have a nice. It's kind of in the same family as the 3032, or sorry, the 3023, but it's a 3032 and a 3033.
Okay.
And they're a nice small compact light.
Okay.
And that's inherently what we have developed the like of that light for. It sort of sits in under trailer bodies, sits on the back of slurry tankers. It's got a 360-degree swivel, so you can mount it really anywhere, and then still get your full degree of motion, and pivots in and out and back and forward and up and down, for the likes of what you're thinking then.
I think I might take you up on that.
Yeah, and then it also has a really nice 60-degree beam pattern as well, along with the higher powered LED chip. So you've still got the distance, but a lovely spread of light.
And another question: given the chaotic nature of my life,
Yes.
and the fact that I try to cram everything into one day, and the fact that I am such an unlucky individual, and say me and Conor and Adam and maybe Darren Mullen or whoever decides we're going to go and do my silage, and it's getting to the stage where something's happened and we're getting at it a bit later than maybe we hoped, or maybe we've decided, you know what, we'll keep
Wouldn't
going.
be a breakdown or anything thrown in the mix there, would there?
You know, maybe the map
That doesn't happen, huh?
No.
maybe
definitely
the
not.
map bros broke down or something before going up the pit, lost all brakes, and we have to put a new set of brakes in there. Master cylinder 9 and 10 maybe. And we decide we're going to go for it at night time, and we're going to do a bit of chopping maybe to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to get things read up. Is there any particular lights that you would recommend, even for the likes of me running the Mach 6, like lights in the back of the tractor, or would you recommend like a specific spout light or anything like that?
But I sort of again, that little compact light sits quite nicely for that kind of work as well. The spout lights is probably one of the best things you could put on, really, because it means you're lighting up the trailer, but you're not blinding the man in that's drawing, really.
And if you're going to put
I'm putting a camera on.
Yeah.
I'm putting a camera on as well. So my boss gave me a reversing camera kit. Just, I don't know if it'll work or not, but it was free, so I'm not going to. So, and it's hardwired.
Yeah.
So it means then you don't have to worry about Bluetooth or stuff dying out or anything like that. It has constant power.
Yeah.
But I suppose then my other question would be, where do I put the light that I don't blind the camera?
You would be better with a light behind the camera then.
Okay, yeah.
or beside it.
No, beside it would blind it still, I think.
I think behind might be better than in front. To be honest,
Then do you end up with a camera?
You need to make
side
sure that you
gap in the light, or do you put the camera on the right side of the spout and then the light on the left side of the spout? And I just realised I done right and I went left. Sorry, yeah, I don't know my lefts and rights half the time. Yeah,
I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that one. I don't know which would. It all depends, I suppose, what way it would reflect off the lens of the camera.
do you want to come trial it?
That would work all right. Yeah.
Okay, right, that's okay.
Don't hate me for saying this, but
Okay.
If I ask you to go to 4 o'clock in the morning, you're telling me to get away, like.
no. It's for some reason it came in my head, and I thought, like, I expect Michael now to say, you know, I have a Christmas tree there. Do you do lights for it too?
Funny that's actually our first ever viral video we got on TikTok.
Right.
I put a flashing beacon on the top of the Christmas tree.
That's class.
Oh,
I got
yes.
was it either 1.6 or 1.8 million views on the flashing beacon on top of the tree.
That's mad.
Yeah.
That's class.
Did it with a Milwaukee 18 volt battery and a DIN mounted pole beacon and cabled out it to the top of the tree.
To be fair, your pole thing that you do would be quite cool. Actually,
That'd be
on top of
cool.
the
Yeah.
Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Is there, I suppose, well, what I was trying to do was basically, obviously trying to talk about stuff that's, I suppose, relatable to me, but I'm trying to ask maybe prompt questions for others, like we are kind of in slurry season at the minute. And that's
Yes.
the way I was
Yeah.
thinking of that. Is there anything else, like, you would, like, maybe put the salesman hat on for a minute? Like, is there anything else you would particularly recommend or you think that's worth, or any particular products that you're like, this here for this particular application, we've found we're XYZ better? Maybe putting you in the spot a wee bit.
Is it spraying season in the UK at the minute?
Spraying comes out. Spraying would be more probably April. Grassland spraying, i.e., arable spraying. Yeah, it's just a torture. You're at it all the time, you know.
I have no idea.
Because this is funny, the marketing team asks me this all the time, what do we need to promote this week? And it's kind of like, well, we sort of need to promote everything all the time.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. It's quite a difficult one to pick something specifically out.
To be fair, this doesn't have to be obviously in the podcast. You know, if you want to do a video of Mr. here with his Coke can,
yes,
and, you know, for slurry week, and then for harvester, for silage season.
And the problem is the tanker's not even out. I would need to get all that wired in. I'm not even using them. I'm getting a contractor doing my slurry this time.
Oh, is that right? Is that because fifth gear delete or?
No, because if I went on my ground in the tractor.
Oh, I should just go to the... Fair enough.
So if someone comes in with 900s or 1050s...
I blame them for making a mess.
Glide over the ground and let them tear away instead.
Well, the whole go-to at home now is everybody's going to a track machine.
Same here. The local contractor here has got a...
Yeah.
I don't know if they're the solution, though.
I think if you're on the stage for the ground...
Because think about it this year way. If you put a digger over the ground, it's still going to leave tracks.
Yeah.
So, like, I made a...
Well, GA contracts literally over the road is one.
No, I know that, and I've seen it all on Facebook, but at the same time, yes, if you're on stuff that wasn't really grazed by sheep, and it's in rubber tracks, probably not going to do a whale lot of damage.
Mm-hmm. But if it's clipped off well, it's...
You're still going to... As she pulls round, or as she turns the headlands at all?
It's the screwing round at headlands,
I think it's the fact that she's in rubber tracks, you could lose her in a hull very handy.
I should go for a ski.
She'd just take off on you.
Yeah. As long as she's well weighted, though, it's probably not.
I don't know, you'll be holding on for dear life.
But you think...
The pipe would hold you back,
I was going to say, or the pipe might be the one that takes you. If you're coming and the pipe decides to move and maybe the pipe's been resting on a bit of a lump
of a bank,
or something,
sort of, yeah.
And then the next thing the pipe just moves and the next thing you're just... Whoosh.
Aye. But funny, actually, the set of lights for one of those there this week as well. It was a wee Yanmar track dumper, I think, beforehand. Yes. And then he's mounted the reeler on the front and the dribble bar or splash plate on the back, and he put a set of lights on it, and just 2 on the front and 2 on the back, and he's more than enough light to do what?
Isn't it unreal what people will do in times of like the engineering? And I think in the Island Ireland, this is something we're phenomenal at.
Yeah, we just get on with it,
especially in County Tyrone.
Yeah,
and I think because that's the mining. I know you're Fermanagh man, and we're here, but it's the ingenuity of people that are just so hands on. And I think even there's so much in this part of the world where people will just go, okay, we'll try this. Yeah. People aren't scared to do stuff. But I love seeing that. One of the key things too for us over here is the farms are still very much family owned. Yes. So you make do with what you've got, or you make something to make it work. Mm-hmm. Whereas you're not sort of going to speak to a farm manager who then has to make a decision with maybe somebody further up the line of command. There's no state farms over here, really. No. Not really. And even the contractors, it's generally the man that's doing the piping or whatever, he's the man that owns the system. And if he thinks that he needs something better, right, we're going to do that for next week or next month or whatever it is. Oh, of course. Because even that particular job, he rang me on, was it Friday, and he wanted them that day. It was Saturday morning actually, and he wanted them done. He wanted them fitted that Saturday night because he wanted her for Monday morning. And do you keep stock? Generally not. Just happened to have. I kind of had to pick through what I had, enough 2 of each really to let him away. So he ended up with 290 watts and 260 watts to do his job. He'd be lighting up, and where's he at? In Fermanagh? Yeah. I'd probably see him from here. For the 90 watts, yeah. Hell, that'd be... So, but back to what I was saying, is there anything you would, say, you found, in a particular application that these just are... You were saying spraying? Yeah. So what we're finding now is... spraying at night time is also difficult. Well, we're finding that people, is it to do even with the weather windows again, that they're having to spray at certain times just to try and beat the weather windows? Well, your biggest problem with spraying is wind.
Yes.
When does, and then obviously, like if you spray and it rains,
Yes, then
it washes everything away,
Yeah.
and then
So people now inherently are doing a lot more spraying at night or in low light conditions.
a lot of people would spray at night anyway because it's when the weather tends to be a bit calmer.
Yeah.
Twilight is normally when I would end up spraying.
Yeah.
And then if you spray obviously when it's too warm,
Yeah.
it
It just evaporates off again.
burns off. So it's kind of, there's kind of the sweet spot, and I find I normally try to do it around the start of April, because then the cows or the cattle's going out to grass. You need to obviously have a period of time where the cattle can't go on the ground.
Yeah.
So
Because even from the arable guys, and you were saying like lights, what have you seen that creates not an issue, but things that you have to overcome really? With arable guys that are spraying like pre-emergence sprays for crops coming up.
Yep.
There's pendimethalin in the spray, which eats polycarbonate.
Okay.
So that meant then that you had, so you had what we would have called a blue spot sprayer light with a polycarbonate lens, which works perfectly fine for all chemicals except for chemicals containing pendimethalin,
Which is in the spray.
Man. And then it causes the polycarbonate to go orange. And then eventually brittle and cracks and falls out. So we have then overcome that by creating a light with a glass lens.
Okay.
So one, you can wipe it clean, and two, it doesn't get affected by the pendimethalin the same as polycarbonate does.
And where are they running? Are they mounting them to the back of the sprayer, back of the tractor?
Mounting them on the back of the sprayer about between 12 and 6 inches away from the spray nozzles. So not perfectly in line. And then angling them out to the sort of the last sprayer nozzle on the boom. So like our lights are easily able to do 40 meter booms, no bother. So one pair of lights will do a 40 meter set of booms, or like sprayer booms.
Probably not something you would see as much around here. There's very few.
That's amazing that you would never think of that.
No.
Fair.
Where was I driving through the other day? I was around Cork somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and there's this massive self-propelled sprayer just sitting on a farm.
Yeah.
Well, see, I suppose that's the only thing with some, like, in regards to lights now, it's probably seemingly for the likes of them sort of applications like spraying or sowing fertiliser or that.
Yeah.
GPS has nearly took over from that at night time. Whereas now you're the whole tailoring it till the older tractor, so your man can do it at twilight.
Yeah.
Probably is the best.
But it's
job of
even
all.
like the GPS taking over is fine, but what we're finding is the guys are more wanting to be able to see if the nozzle's blocked.
Or if they're hitting something.
Yeah. So like the sprayer might be able to fill the field, or you might be able to get full coverage in the field due to GPS and then section control and that. But if you had a nozzle that blocked, like
you'll not be able to see it.
You'll not be able to see it because you can't see the spray patterns.
Not even like you can fit a flow meter at the other side of the nozzle, because that's where the spray is. Like.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing that a lot of people are buying sprayer lights for that sort of work now, particularly arable guys.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen in lights go on to? Like you've seen someone come on application and went, that's really strange, but that's class.
I've had people fit them to a mountain bike. It's a bit bizarre. I think the coolest thing that I've ever fitted the lights to was Jeremy Clarkson's tractor.
You?
Yeah.
Oh.
You should have led with that.
Yeah. So that was definitely a career high. Yeah. Silver Lambo, yeah.
And were you over for that?
Yeah, I've actually driven Jeremy Clarkson's Silver Lambo. So that's there's not that many people can say they've done that.
Did you meet any of them when you were over there?
Whenever we were there, Jeremy did come out. It was organised through Jeremy's PA. She organised it for him. But whenever we were there, he was out walking the dogs and he did come over and sort of have a bit of a chit chat with us. But it's one of them ones where you're like, do I completely fangirl him here, or do I sort of act cool and we're here for business? So we kind of played it cool and just got on with what we wanted to do, but like we didn't ask him for autographs or photographs or anything, But I think, to be honest, that kind of played in our favour, because as soon as you start getting over here and
making a big piece
to
of
be able
it,
to say that we were there and on his farm and did the lighting on his tractor, but like at that time we went over. Well, I flew over and Ben lifted me at the airport and we met and we went and did Jeremy's tractor. And then that evening we were allowed then to go back and do drone footage and that off Jeremy's tractor.
Yes.
With literally Ben and I took his tractor out to the field with nobody else with us at all. So like just
So
free
you were-
rein, like.
So you were going around Diddley Squat Farm and all, like, or whatever.
The way
Chattels Hill,
it
or
sort
whatever
of
you call his
yeah,
farm.
it sort of is. It would be the same farm that you would see like the cattle houses and that on.
No, so Diddley Squat's the farm shop. I think
Yeah,
his,
it's
I think
kinda-
his farm is like Chattel Hill or something.
It's sort of
called.
down the road
Yeah.
a wee bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was up at that farm that we were. So we did his tractor first, or the silver one, and then we also did that. Was the green Lambo?
Yeah, he called that a Lambo, but it's definitely a
It was
Discover.
yeah, it definitely was. But it was funny because when we were there, Gerald rocked up in like a wee old Fiesta van.
Oh wow!
And like Gerald speaks perfectly fine. Everybody thinks that Gerald can't speak,
they
but
actually
I suppose it's probably the same as if somebody listened to the likes of myself or yourselves with a different accent, and you speak quickly and you edit it correctly. It makes it
that's-
sound like Gerald doesn't talk sense.
That's what they actually did with Jared, was they just messed up his editing. They
Yeah.
messed up the editing just so it sounded really. He talks perfect.
He
normal,
does.
like.
But he pulled up in the wee van or whatever and wound the window down. So you sort of went over and you had a chat with him. And he was just typical slagging the Lambo and saying, oh, he should have bought something better, like a New Holland or a John Deere or something.
Go on,
But
Jared.
it was funny, just sort of as normal as you like, rocks up in a wee old Fiesta van, like maybe 15, 20-year-old, like.
Class.
That's class. That's unreal.
And then, well, Caleb was there at that stage too. And again, I think the guys have been back and done a bit of work with Caleb as well, and done a few lights on a JCB and that with Caleb. So
Class. That's really cool.
yeah, but definitely a career highlight for me. He's been able to have driven.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your career highlight.
Oh, well,
being
yeah.
here, like, but
I was going to say that too.
second to this. Second to
that's
this.
actually unreal.
But,
I'm
yeah.
glad I asked that question.
Yeah, but I was thinking to myself on the way up the road, how do we bring that in? So I thought that's a good
know,
way
that's-
of popping it in without going. We drove Jeremy Clarkson's tractor.
Well, we've been recording 2 hours.
Is that how long we're
Yeah. So
Is there anything in particular, Jack, you'd want to say or chat about?
that's going to be my next question.
Well, you've chatted enough, by God.
I don't know. I think we've sort of kind of brought it in quite nicely without sort of being salesy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want this to be salesy. I kind of wanted to be an off the, not
you're
an off the
talking to two
record
farmers.
conversation, but yeah, just
You're talking to two boys that kind of understand
Yeah.
the idea of having good lights and have flew the flag of having the bad lights.
Yeah.
And had the experiences. Like Jack, thank you very much for coming on. And
problem.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
yeah, and
Well, thank you very much for having me.
We're
Really enjoyed
and
it.
We would like to do. I know we're sort of joking about doing bits, but we actually would
Yeah.
like to do bits and pieces with yourself. Like
Yeah, no
even
problem.
filming or whatever. We can happily do something like that because
Sounds good. Yeah.
we have, I suppose, the platform to do bits and pieces. It might not maybe just be as glamorous as
He's just trying to get more stuff for the fate.
it mightn't be as glamorous as Clarkson's farm, but
Well, you have to start somewhere, don't you?
thank you very much for coming on. That was great.
No problem at all. Thanks very much.
Michael, like, what can you say? Did you ever think lights would be so interesting to talk about?
No, I've said it like 4 or 5 times now in this podcast that I didn't realise lights could be as interesting, but I will stand by that.
Like, to be honest, it's really cool, like the level of detail they're obviously going into.
Absolutely.
You can have your modern looking light, and you obviously can have your nice OEM plus, original looking lights, and
Yeah.
obviously they do a variety of stuff. Like if you want to go a wee bit Dutch spec or different products here and there. But I will say one thing, fair dues for UTV, the likes of Jack doing the socials and that. If you have a query on any of the products,
Yep. They are Ben or Jack will actually come and like they will speak to you, like, which is the guys who literally make the products are the ones that'll give you advice on how to fit it. Like that is what you want.
it's not to say any business would, but whenever you're spending money on a premium product, you obviously expect a premium service, and
100%, yeah,
and that's obviously
absolutely.
what they're delivering.
They wrap it up, Conor.
Yeah, if you want to follow the podcast and any of the socials, there's limited slip differences on everything. So that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe.
No,
leave
it's
a
not
comment.
called You Name It. It's called YouTube.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. We see them all, and like if we like your comment, obviously we've definitely read it. If you're listening on Spotify, hopefully obviously you've enjoyed this podcast, and we obviously have a library of content there. And from ourselves, all the best, guys, and ta-ra, and enjoy yourselves, and
Conor, stop talking. See you later. Best of luck.
bye bye.